12, stick with check that one out.
6-1 bullet, 2-point start, take your shots.
Officer still stands for talk? No. Offender in custody?
Good evening, everybody. It's Thursday night. It's not quite Friday night, but it's Thursday night. We're almost there. Some sad news today. Yes, 11/22 King Road will be demoed December 28th, starting at 9 a.m., and they expect it to take a few days. So, even though the petitions, the calls, the emails, We knew it was going to happen. And go figure. December 28th was the day that the DNA was linked up with Koberger's father. Isn't that interesting? So to the year, to the day, will be when they matched up the DNA. Interesting. Didn't say that was going to happen. Called it. I'm so glad that I went there. You know, after the FBI, back on October 31st, remember it was Halloween. We were like, wow, the FBI, they're doing this on Halloween. We're like, wow. And then the next show. And then the next day after that. And that's when I was like, yo, dude. You better plan a trip ASAP. Because if you wait until after, it ain't going to be there no more. I'm glad that I went there. I'm so glad that I went there. And I couldn't have went there at the most perfect time. The same exact time a year ago when everything took place. So, called that one, baby. I'm glad I got out there. Whew. Glad I got that footage. Glad I got all that, because what is it without the house? You know what I'm saying? What is it without the house? It makes me want to watch all the footage, but I'm not going to do that to you guys. What's up, Jacqueline? Ticket number 2. What's up, Detective? Ticket number 4. What's up, Jackie DS? Ticket number 1. Who snuck in there with ticket number 1? Bianca, ticket number 7. What's up, Chrissy? Ticket number is the number when you hit the like button. So if you hit the like button, just that's your ticket number, whatever your like is, and then I'll call it out for you. Because I serve you. So you walk in the door. If you want to chill out and kick it, then you take a ticket. And you just let us know what it is, and I call you out. Look at that. Mark and Betty, ticket number 9. Thank you very much. Is it true? Yes. What's up, Caddy? Thank you. Kib Kitty. D. Marie, ticket number 12. Thank you. Good evening to you. Oh, thank you so much. Ooh, this coffee's hot. What's up, Aaliyah? Thank you for hopping in. There we go. Ticket number 15. Thank you, Chrissy. Ticket number 15. Good to see you too, Katrina. Thank you. Oh, well, prayers. What's up, Megan? How you doing? Thank you for hopping in. We're going to be, we're going to be going through some of the footage. Law offices of Andrew. He said he was going to hit me up in email whenever they're going to drop it. So I'll let you guys know. I'll just put out a community post when the video drops. But they had a really good episode that they put out earlier today. Let me see here. I was going to check that out. I wanted to sit back and listen to this While Idaho Slept author. It was from an interview, like, six. What's up, American Princess? I know. I'm glad I went. I am so glad I went. I know the day that they were there. It was at 2 hours, 51 minutes, and 26 seconds or something like that. On episode 377, I was like, yeah, they're going to do it on an anniversary just to push the PR. You know what I mean? Think about it. Think of it. They're doing it on the same day as the DNA got linked up with his dad. Is that like, it couldn't be any more PR? It couldn't be any more PR unless it was the same day that he was arrested. Now that is like the ultimate PR move right there. That's the ultimate PR move, is to do it when he was arrested. But they're sneaky. They did it when it, Seriously. What's up, Medicated? Is that ticket? Ticket number 30, maybe? Sarah? Ticket 27? What's up? Yeah. I had a video about it. It's about... I know there's a lot of new people. I'm glad I did. That's what... Oh, thank you so much, Chrissy, for becoming a member. I appreciate that. OJ25 members only. Sunday night for everybody. Previous episode. This weekend we're doing episode 3. Sunday night we'll be replaying episode 2 for everybody. Sunday night for the live. Thank you. Appreciate you. It is PR. They've been so predictable. That's why I've said they're gonna like continue to delay this shit when it comes to all this IGG shit. Like, it's almost so predictable. That's why when I saw the FBI, it was literally that freaking day. It was that same day, episode 377, October 31st. And that's when I'm like, yeah, fuck it, I'll play it. Hold on. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me get it set up here. Hell, we'll just play it. All right, let me turn this music down just a tad. Why did my StreamYard screen get real small? That's weird. Why is it super small? What the hell? StreamYard's acted weird. 251.26. I wouldn't be surprised if it's demolished on an anniversary day, or someday that they got BK doing this, or they arrested him, or they brought him back to Idaho. There's gonna be some kind of fucking anniversary to push the PR. Boom, motherfucker! Like right there, October 31st. Right there. Yes, the snowflakes. But yeah, right there, 251.28 to 251.42. I said it right there. It's so freaking predictable. Convicted.
And that's reality.
And that's reality. So you're playing with those minds too. The only people... Hold on. 251. Whoops, it went back too far. Telling people you're going to do it. You're not doing it because you don't want to do it. You're doing it because you want to do it, and the community's putting enough pressure on you to stop. Yeah, and they wanted to desensitize. We're going to demolish it. Okay, we're not gonna. We're going to demolish it. Okay, we're not gonna. We're going to demolish it. Okay, we're not gonna. That way, when they go to do it, everybody's already... They're desensitized. So whenever they come back and it's gone, they've already heard it so many times. You know what I'm saying? It's mental shit that they're doing to this fucking community to get rid of this fucking house as soon as possible. Desensitize, desensitize, desensitized. Now we're going to do it, and it's a PR. We're going to do it on either the day he got arrested, the day that we got his trash, the day that it linked up, the someday, right? Come on now. If the defense only needs 3 days, think about it. Think. If the defense only needs 3 days, right? Why'd they wait until the 28th? It's only the 14th. Why not do it on the 21st? Why not do it on the 20th? No. Let's do it the day that the DNA matched up. And what's even funnier is what is the one thing that the defense has been asking for over and over and over and over and over and over? The DNA. So you don't think it's a coincidence that they're demolishing the house on the day that they matched up the DNA, and that's the thing that the defense has been asking for this whole fucking time. You know what that is? That's not just a regular middle finger. That's one of those balloon middle fingers. You ever seen those where it goes? You got to blow the motherfucker up. That's what that is. It's a balloon middle finger. Whoo. Now they're getting people used to it. Now that this freaking, it's all business in the video highlight that I put out today. It's nothing but a business mind. And when you look at it at a business mind, it's already started, everybody. I've done told you it's going to be demolished before the new semester. I wouldn't be surprised if it's demolished on a anniversary day, or some day that they got BK doing this, or they arrested him, or they brought him back to Idaho. There's going to be some kind of fucking anniversary to push the PR. Oh, man. And it's so sad, too. It's so sad, too. What is the rush? They don't want to pay for security no more? They make so much damn money. Chrissy, you should check out some of our University of Idaho Phoenix shows that we had like a week or two ago. I'm sure they don't get, I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I'm surprised that they don't get donations for that. I mean, when you look at, how everything goes, money. Because if they lose that, and it's a business. At the end of the day, the university is a business. And you can't be upset if you look at it any other way, because it really is a business. At the end of the day, it's a business. They have to make business decisions. It's that October 31st, episode 377, when we're talking about it, I'm talking all about business decisions. I'm talking about what makes sense for business decisions. Why, how things went down. Business. You look at it all goes down to funding. It goes down to all the other businesses in the area. Like, if anybody if anybody wants to like spread the word about this University of Phoenix, Idaho deal, because the community has absolutely no freaking clue because of the non-disclosure agreement, the 2-day notice. They only had 90 minutes to meet to make a decision. They had no answers about how this is all being paid for, but a whole bunch of promises on what can come. And when you look at the history of the University of Phoenix online and you see all the lawsuits that's going on, you see how the attendance went from 600,000 back in 2010 all the way to less than 85,000 last year. And yet they're having to settle lawsuits left and right for 6 figures each. You're going to end up paying more in lawsuits than you are for the purchase of the college. And then what's going to happen is it's going to go belly up. And the only people that are going to have to pay is the community. And then the university's only on the hook for $10 million a year. And for them to sit there and say that they have no ties whatsoever, then why in the fuck is the address for the non-profit organization that is, quote, purchasing this university online? Why is their address the Kippy Dome? What? The Kippy Dome? Please look into that, anybody. They're about, I would say they're probably at minimum 3 weeks from making this deal complete. And it's so important right now. It's so important right now. I don't even care if you just share the episodes. I'll put together a playlist. I don't care. They're long episodes, but you know what? They're packed with information. They don't even know. They make enough money as it is. There's no reason that they don't even know they don't even know. That's the sad part. There's such secrecy over it, and there's so much shady shit going on with it. The community don't even know because they see this beautiful bouquet that says $180 million back. Like I said, I'll sell you an autographed card. I just won't tell you who's on it. Would you trust that? Would you trust me if I said I'll sell you an autographed card for $50,000? I'm gonna tell you who's on it. Would you trust that deal? Who would trust that deal? I'm not going to tell you who's on the card. I'll just tell you it's autographed. It's with it. All right. So yeah, I wanted to share that real quick. Now let me see here. What was I going to get into first? I think it was. Oh yeah, these pictures about the demo here. All right, so it says right here, and let me change my screen. Yeah, they got 3 days. They got 3 days. They're going there to measure. They're, I don't know what's taking so long for that. That's one thing. When I saw this, I'll play the little video real quick, but that's one thing that I thought. I was like, wow, why you're going to be kind of rushed, right? You know, you're kind of rushed. If wouldn't That's what I don't understand. Why wouldn't anybody have oh, thank you. Why wouldn't anybody have wanted, to do this stuff a while ago? Whether it's the 3D scan or whether it's the defense going in there. Right, Miley? I should have played the damn lottery that day, man. Shit. Even if I matched 4 out of 5, that's still a winner. Oh, thank you, Cindy. Well, I'm sure a lot of people guessed it, just not on the same day that the FBI was there. But it's like a script. It is. It's like a script. That's why it's like, when you look at it at analytics and percentages and everything, it's like, hello, we're not going to tear it down during the semester. Right? You descramble the bullshit. You descramble. We're not going to tear it down during the semester. Descrambled means we've already threatened you multiple times already that we were going to tear it down and we didn't. And now that we have an opportunity to do it before this case goes to shit, we're going to go ahead and get it done. Because if we ain't going to tear it down now, like I said in that same show that we just watched, they're looking at it like this. That's why I was talking about business decision chat before we got to the part that I played. Because when you look at it as a business, what's a better business decision? Getting it torn down between the semesters. If the case, something happens, something goes crazy, do you think that they would say something crazy happened with the case? Look at what's been going on in the court hearings. Say something crazy happened with the case. Do you think that they would be allowed to tear this down if something crazy happened with the case? Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Hello? No. They wouldn't. Until the person was found. They wouldn't be allowed to tear it down. Think if something crazy happened with the case, no. They would be like, "Oh no, you ain't tearing this house down. We need to find out what that." Then who knows when they can tear it down? What if BK gets off and then they can't find the other person? You think they're gonna? Oh, you're talking years. It could be years. It could be forever that they public image would not let you tear that down. Right now? Oh, hell yeah. Because what's going to happen? Like I said back then on October 31st, them students are going to come back. They're going to be like, oh, wow, it's tore down. And then they're all of a sudden that first week of the new semester, they're going to be sucked into the books and everything that's going on because they were just relaxing for a while. And now they're back for the new semester and it's a start of a whole nother semester. And here we go. We got a lot of, episode 377. It's all right there. The why, the when, and then the future of each decision. And I mean, come on. Is it a coincidence that they're tearing it down the same day that they matched up the DNA to BK's dad? And what's the thing that the defense keeps asking for this whole time is the DNA. Like I said, it's a blown up middle finger. It's not just a middle finger. It's one that's blown up. All right, this says Moscow, Idaho, December 14th. Oh, shit. StreamYard's still not telling me. Why does it do this? Hold on, I gotta get my phone because it doesn't tell me on stream. I don't know why it's doing that still. Hold on. Let me see. Cindy, Brandywine, Nina, Crystal. Where's the other one? Oh, and Aaliyah all got memberships. There you go. Definitely got to hang out for the OJ25. Check out that Henrietta one too. It's a crazy one. What's up, Sherlock Kendra? How you doing? Oh yeah, you know. They've already been here trying to flag comments that are no reason. YouTube wouldn't even flag them. So you know that's when the trolls are kind of chilling. Chrissy, there's tunnels everywhere. I told somebody, if you want to really go see some cool tunnels, look at the ones in Las Vegas. Those are crazy. You want to talk about an underground city? That's an underground city. But everywhere has tunnels. It says that they're just going there to make measurements and, you know, do testing and things like that. But it's that was my question though. Why wait until now? It's so damn cold over there, you know? You could have done it in the summertime. Now you got to go there, you got to unscrew the screws from the windows, and it's going to be cold as shit in there because there's no heat, and you know. Lots of subway tunnels. Subway sandwich sounds good. Don't understand. Supposedly there was tunnels that went under the house, but I don't know. I never got into the tunnel stuff. I never got into the tunnel stuff. Every city has tunnels, you know. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me get to read this here. Moscow, Idaho, December 14th, 2023. Teams representing the defense for Brian Koberger will access the King Road house today and tomorrow, Thursday the 4th. Oh, for just 2 days. Thursday the 14th and Friday, December 15th. I am so glad that I went there and got my footage. Man, what is it without the house? You know, it's nothing. The defense asked the University of Idaho in November for access to the house in December as they prepare for this case for trial, the date of which has not been set. The defense indicated they want to take photographs, measurements, and possibly gather drone footage of the house. Ooh, we should look at that drone footage again. We'll play that too. I might play some of my footage too. Following this, the university will prepare for demolition of the house. Demolition will begin at 7 a.m. on Thursday, December 28th, and it may take several days to completely clear the site. Media instructions for viewing the demolition are found below. This is so sad. This is so sad because the families don't want this to happen. Except for one, but that is so sad. The house was given to the university in early 2023. It is tax write-off. It is the site where U of I students Ethan Chapin, Zana, Kernodal, Madison, Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves were unalived. It has been the intention of the university since being given the house to demolish it, of course. It is the grim reminder of the heinous act that took place there, President Scott Green said. While we appreciate the emotional connection some family members of the victims may have to this house, it is time for its removal and to allow the collective healing of our community to continue. Wow, you couldn't have been more delicate than that, huh? It is time for its removal. Yikes. Yikes. That's a little harsh. The decision to tear down the house during winter break was made as an attempt to decrease further impact on the students who live in the area. I know you don't want to further increase anybody feeling uncomfortable, because you don't want to lose your enrollment, man. Like they said, they hired him because he had a good sales pitch. That's why he got hired. Gerner Construction of Moscow will serve as a general contractor and provide project oversight while also performing site rehabilitation, grading, utility disconnection, and demolition assistance at a reduced cost to the university. Of course. Of course. Everything is. Everything is. And you can't afford to pay for security. Man, kiss my ass. You should be paying for security, period. You're the one that wanted the damn house in the first place. Don't want to pay for security. Well, you're not paying for the rock garden, for the memorial at the university that's going to be on your property. You're making your freaking community pay for it. The rock garden that's supposed to memorialize these 4 students that's on your property, you ain't even paying 1 fucking penny. And you're worried about paying for security. What about who gives a fuck when it comes to these other families that want the damn house to still be there? To the people that are upset that it's not torn down, in due time, it will be torn down. But damn, for the people that need it to still be up, the families of the freaking victims, and you're worried about paying for fucking security. He does make a good business decision. That's what it is. In late October, the FBI accessed the house to gather additional data. As explained to the university, the scanning done by the FBI will allow them to create visual aids that could be used in the trial. And that's the day that we said, yeah, they're going to demo it on an anniversary. Because of the gag order imposed by the court, no information or comment. Yeah, okay, whatever. And then here's an Idaho Public Radio alert. Thank you for the links to these on in Discord there. Thank you. It's a bunch of bullshit, man. You're worried about security. You know what? You know how much that security's probably making? Like, for real. It's not even an officer. Which one? I've been doing shows. When was it was a couple days ago I got to get in one. Yeah, I know. She always has amazing shows. You think? In the summertime when everybody's back home, I think there'd be less witnesses because you're about 12,000 people down, you know? You're about 12,000 people down in your city because they're all back home. It is not right, Corey. What's up, Riddler? No, I think the lack of trail is because the person probably left out of Ethan and Zaina's window and climbed out that little part of the roof and jumped down. Because that's the only thing that made sense to me when the case first came out, and they said that right when they first said that they didn't know how the person that committed the crime left. I'm like, that little roof ain't too. I'm like, damn guys, look at that police SUV compared to that little roof right there outside the window. I bet you that ain't too high. If anybody from back then remembers that conversation, I was like, it ain't too high to jump down from that little teeny roof onto the gravel. Shit. I mean, just go with what makes sense. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. What's up, Denise? Thank you for hopping in. We'll see. No, I don't think there was. I don't think it took place somewhere else. I think it took place there. I think each floor took place at separate times. But when you're talking about you have no there's no trail to show where they left. Well, did you ever see him looking at the damn roof in front of the window? No. So of course they're gonna not know how the person left if they didn't explore all thoughts, theories, and opinions of how somebody would exit the fucking property. You know what I mean? Just like we didn't find anything in the trash, but they let one of the dumpsters go. Okay. We didn't find an... Oh, well, yeah, you didn't, because you didn't... You know? What's up, LR? Oh, yeah. No problem. Yeah, I was just sitting here after the show was over, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The same day that they matched up his dad's DNA with his, that's the day. And I'm like... I mean, that's the thing. There's the way that they do shit is so scripted, and you can... Just like with, like hell, for months, I'm like, they're just going to keep saying they're just going to use the tip. That's it. Oh, they're going to jump. Okay. How long has it been since they got the shit on 11/30? You know? Like, I don't know. They don't have to give up shit. They don't. And there's no urgency in the prosecution because they're not going to use it anyway. And they probably don't want to use it. A couple days ago, we're watching some press conferences from December because I was showing everybody they weren't on to BK like that since November 29th or 28th. They weren't on to BK like that. So then I showed you guys those press conferences from 12/8, 12/10, 12/12, 12/16. And then on the 12/16 press conference, I'm like, oh shit, that's probably when they found out that, because chain of custody, like the training records, who handled what, were they certified, were they trained, did they have any, or even the people that worked at the frickin' labs, did they have any reprimations for anything that, job related? Was there performance issues? Like, you're talking DNA, man. You're talking fucking DNA. And if somebody that even worked at the lab has had issues with contamination, you should be able to know about that. If there's an officer that has had issues with honesty or contamination, you need to know that. I don't know. If you read the messages, I don't know how you could take it another way. But, most people want to say shit without really knowing everything. Because to them, it's about the clicks and the views. Oh, I'm going to say something even though I don't know shit. You heard them all pop up. I'm going to say something. Well, I don't watch this person, but I'm going to say something. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to say something. Okay. It's for the clicks and the views. That's what happens when you have metal up here. You know what I mean? It's dense. You need that organ up there. That brain. You need that brain. You gotta think. Seriously, though. Listen to him. Well, I don't really watch, but I'm gonna go ahead and say so. Oh. Okay. Let me watch somebody talk about fixing a car, even though they don't know how to fix a car. All right. That sounds like a great plan. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. Oh, it's so crazy. The YouTube police, you know what I'm saying? Right, the false confidence. The YouTube police. It's like, what the? I'm sorry, babe. Everybody's shit stinks. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, babe. Even your shit stinks. Everybody's does. Damn. Walking around. Outkast made a great song that's called Roses. You should check it out sometime. It's got a great beat to it. Jeez. All right. And then I wanted to share this tweet here. True Crime Time at Salty Sleuth. They had a pretty cool artistic post here on Twitter, so I wanted to shout them out. I thought it was pretty artistic when it comes to the demo and everything. So shout out to Salty Sleuth. I know they hop in here as well. That's pretty neat. I like that. Looks real cool. So I wanted to shout them out. All right. Now here is... Where'd it go? Where's the video saying it? All right. Right here. if it's gonna let me.
Right, we do have breaking news right now. Just getting word into the Crimpton newsroom that the home where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered will be demolished this month. Today and tomorrow, teams representing the defendant in the case, Brian Koberger, will be at the King Road house. They asked for access as they prepare.
Yeah, when I was there, I'm trying to think if it was my second. I don't know if it was my second to last day or my last day when I was there, but I kept hearing saws and banging. And it almost sounded like a quick inside demo, not the outside, but a quick inside demo. And you know what, detective? I wouldn't be surprised if they were removing the pipes and shit like that and wires. Because I remember when I was parked up back there in the back, and I was like, why am I hearing like a circular saw? And then I'm hearing like bang, 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 bang. And I'm like, where in the fuck is this fucking construction going on at a house? I'm looking around and I don't see nothing. And I'm like, huh, that's weird. But when I was in the back of the property, the boards were still up on the back. Hell, you know what? They might have fucking had one of the plywoods on top of, or the door had plywood on it in the, the front door, the parking lot door. I could have swore that it had plywood on it. Unless they put it up because people were going to be in there the whole time or something. I'm trying to remember in my head here. I could have swore they had plywood on the door. Yeah. But no, when I was live, even when I was there doing shows, I was telling people, shit, probably my last show there, but the last night I was probably talking about it a lot. It was almost like, because I was looking around and I didn't see any houses being worked on. I mean, I'd literally driven there all around for almost a week, minus the trip time. So really, I drove around a lot and got a lot of footage. And yeah, it was like the last day or the day before. Yeah, I was hearing saws and banging, and it just, I don't know. It, with a quick demo, you just take a circular saw and cut a chunk out of the wall and rip the cords out. You don't have to remove everything. You just cut little chunks out, and you can take the wires, and you can cut little chunks out, and you can take the pipes, and if the pipes ain't loosening up, you bang them. So that's why I was like, well, that's probably what the saw sound in like a loud banging sound that kept happening. They're probably removing the shit from the inside. Yeah, it is. And they're probably removing the shit from the inside. And then now, they're just going to go in there and just go knock that shit down. Yeah. Yeah, it shouldn't take 2 to 3 days. It's probably going to take 1 day to knock it all down, the next day to pick it all up, and then the next day to smooth out the lot. Really. Cuz I really did think they were gutting it. There was nowhere else being worked on when I was there, and I was driving around all over the place too. So it ain't gonna take them very long at all. Yeah, today and tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, you never know. Mm. Well, like I said, it's a big FU to the defense. You're going to have it torn down on the same day that your DNA was linked up with your dad's, and that's the one thing that the defense has been asking for this whole time is the DNA. It's like a big FU. It's not. That's why I said it's going to be the anniversary of one of those days back then. That's why I said it's going to be a big FU in one of those ways, whether it was when he got arrested, when they wrote the PCA, when they linked him up with the DNA and his dad, when they arrested, like any of these days was going to be an FU. That's why I said it's going to be one of those days. It's one of those few days right there from the 27th to the 29th. The defense is going to be done tomorrow. Why do they need to wait till that's what I was saying before. Why are they waiting till the 28th then? If there's a push to get it done, then why don't they do it on Monday? Why don't they do it on Monday? No, you're good though. Think about it though. Why don't they do if it's a push to get it done? Why are you waiting till the end? Why aren't you doing it on Monday? The defense is going to be done tomorrow. You could start it on Saturday if you wanted to. But I'm just saying Monday, just to give the defense maybe another day or two. You never know. We'll go ahead and schedule it Monday. If they really wanted it done, they would be having it done. No, it's a fuck you. That's the whole reason why I was like, because when you're, they're so predictable. It's a game to them. It's a game. All right. Here, hold on 1 second. Man, if this university Idaho Phoenix deal goes through, I'm just going to say that they just get away with so much shit, dude. Man, that's such a downer about the whole thing. I had all this stuff for tonight, and I was like, man, we're gonna have some fun, some comedy. I'm just really freaking bummed. Those poor families that don't want this damn thing tore down, you know? Man. I don't know what I would do if I was, I don't know what I would do. I'm just sitting here like trying to put myself and be like, dang, if my family member and I didn't want this house to go, would I even like stand out there and protest in front of the house and stand in front of the bobcat and like I'm just trying to put myself like, man. And then you got to be like, well, you could stand in front of it, but yeah, detective, they're just going to haul you off or, and it's like, and then all you can do is sit there from afar and watch the whole thing get torn down, crushing your soul every time there's a swipe to knock another wall down. Just slowly crushing your fucking soul, Man. I'm just thinking about the families, man, that don't want this thing tore down, Like, gosh, I can't. How are we supposed to have a night with comedy and shit and Vinny having the same outfit on for 5 shows in a row and whatever, when all you can really think about tonight is what are those families even thinking right now, because they heard the news too. They heard the news. They already felt helpless already with everything, and they're having to put all their trust in the people to do the right thing, and they just kind of have to let things happen, and this is something else they kind of just have to let happen, and it's like, damn. Yeah. 14 days, exactly 2 weeks, everybody. Thursday, December 28th. I'm so glad I went out there. I knew this was going to happen. I'm so glad I went out there. I don't know, LR. We haven't heard anything from... let me check to see if there's any new documents, but I doubt it. Damn, I barely even drank my coffee. Whoa. Oh, I thought it went away. This thing's about full. Holy shit, I've just been sitting here. Nope. No new document. What's up, Beckles? Nope, no new docs. What a sad night. Gosh. You know, I'm just gonna pause. You know what? You can say it's cheesy or what. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna pause my music for 1 minute. And just be silent for like 1 minute and just say something special to these families, energy wise and vibe wise. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to pause this music for a second and let's just send some positive energy to these families on this sad night. All right. We'll go ahead and get on with the show here. I want to check out this newest episode from Law Office of Andrew D. Myers and Laney Law, talking about the knife sheath. And we had quite an interesting conversation about that knife sheath as well. So let me get that ready. And we will check that out. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Never mind. All right, let's get to this episode here. Andrew D. Myers. Where did it go? Shout out to that. Ooh, look at that. 2.49. Look at that. They're almost at 2.5. Shout out to them. If you're not subbed, definitely go sub. I hung out with them yesterday, and whenever they get done with that edit, it's going to drop, and I can't wait. We had a really great conversation. All right, this one is talking about, did Brian leave DNA on the knife sheath, one of 5 mysteries concealing truth in the Koberger case? They might as well just keep coming out with these because every video that they make is awesome. Give me 1 second here. We'll get it switched up. Andrew D. Myers, and we're going to watch this latest one. We touched on this topic as well. And aren't their intros are so cool. Their intros are so cool. They're so neat. I need to take like a day off sometime and like work on little intros and promos and video endings and all sorts of stuff. You know, I need to or just take a whole weekend off or something and just do nothing but make video edits and stuff. Cool stuff, you know?
Andrew, come on, get over here. The podcast is about to start.
I'm busy taking notes on this Koberger case.
We have to start the podcast right now or the internet's going to give up. What are you doing?
Well, I'm keeping notes. I have some interesting points about the Koberger case. I have 5 notes about the Koberger case that I want to share.
Well, get your butt over here. Let's go through them.
They're so funny. They're so
You
funny.
thought it couldn't be done, but as you just saw, we have Andrew on deck making 5 more notes about the Koberger case. And spoiler alert, we're going to be going over some DNA points. I'm Lainey Law.
And I'm attorney Andrew Myers.
On this episode of About the Law, we're going to be diving into what Andrew could have possibly been late to the podcast doing. Andrew, what took you so long? How did we get to this point?
Well, people have asked me, you 5 more points every week. How can you possibly do that? Well, like I've said before, there's hundreds of things that just make us scratch our heads about this case. And in taking a look at it a little bit more deeply, I found a bunch of other things and I've been keeping notes. So let's take a look at 5 more notes that I've taken on this case and things that just really are kind of, we'll just say interesting. And one of them is, they've always said DNA is so important to this case. And in fact, we had a commenter that said, the DNA was in that place, case closed, stop the games. Well, it's not a game. People are entitled to the presumption of innocence until found guilty. In this case, the DNA is not as exact as of a science as people would like to lead you to believe. You believe that, Lainey?
I kind of agree with you in that sense. I'm not a forensic analysis, but I've definitely heard some questionable things about touch DNA and how it could be spread around from person to person.
Well, let's take a look at 2 things. First of all, here's what the probable cause affidavit said. It said, once law enforcement had single source DNA from the K-bar knife sheath, they conducted what is called short tandem repeat or STR analysis. STR DNA analysis involves looking at 20 regions within the human DNA and allows law enforcement to make direct comparisons between 2 STR DNA profiles. Law enforcement submitted the STR DNA profile obtained from the K-bar knife sheath to the combined DNA index system, CODIS, database of STR DNA profiles from convicted offenders, arrestees, and crime scene evidence to identify the source of the DNA. No match was found. And so they had to go on. And of course, after they found Mr. Koberger, they, took a swab from him. And then they say that they linked that to what is purportedly to be touch DNA on the snap of the knife sheath that was found next to or under Madison Mogan. Well, they say it's an exact science, but let's take a look at something.
Plus, with CC Moore, she says that it's an art. CC Moore says it's an art because it's not a science. There's so much manipulating, and we need to chill back and watch some CC Moore again too. She has some good stuff.
That tells us that is it really an exact science? Here's an article from an institute called the International Journal of Molecular Sciences. And it's relatively recent. And it says, collection and interpretation of touch DNA from crime scenes represent crucial steps during criminal investigations. Of course, we all know that. With clear consequences in the courtrooms. Although the main aspects of this type of evidence have not been extensively studied, some controversial issues remain. For instance, there is no conclusive evidence indicating which sampling method results in the highest rate of biological material discovery. So we're not going to go through all of that because there are different methods of collecting it, and they're saying it's controversial because it is not a settled science, all right? So here's the introduction.
Right. It's used to exonerate, not convict. Coming from CC Moore, you know.
Touch DNA can be defined as DNA transfer. By the way, whenever you have a conversation with somebody who feels that they're smarter than you, they'll say, "Oh no, it's not touch DNA, it's transfer DNA. Don't you know that?" Well, according to the experts here, the touch DNA can be defined as DNA transferred from a person to an object via contact with the object itself.
He's a character.
In the literature, this form of evidence also has been called contact DNA, trace DNA, or transfer DNA. So don't let people BS you by saying, "Oh, that's not what it is. It's this." So there's different terms for it. Just to start our discussion here about DNA. The nature of this type of genetic material is still the subject of ongoing scientific debate, which expresses the lack of knowledge in the present forensic field. So if you think that, DNA is DNA is DNA, the end of story, However, touch DNA samples are generally known to contain low levels of DNA and the presence of degraded genetic material. Degraded genetic material, regardless of its origin, makes genotype detection challenging.
Funny as hell.
Degraded DNA is not the only component of touch deposits that can compromise forensic profiling. The presence of small amounts of genetic material available, sometimes even below the minimum thresholds of modern, highly sensitive commercial STR kits, is another phenomenon commonly found in contact samples. And so they go through the fact that, the sample that is a touch sample has to be collected, and then the DNA is extracted and quantified and amplified. And then there's a step called fragments sequencing. So for all of you scientists out there that want to tell us this is an exact science and it's simple, bada bing, bada boom, this process is there, and the process has to be followed perfectly. And guess who does the process? It's human beings. Laboratory methods employed also affect the success of touch DNA analysis. In other words, what's done in the laboratory affects the success of the touch DNA analysis. Let me rephrase that in other words. You've got to do everything correctly in the lab in order for that to be accurate. As can be inferred from the above, numerous factors influence touch DNA's effectiveness as a forensic tool. Thus, we present here a brief review regarding the current state of knowledge on touch DNA analysis, which tells us all that this is an evolving science. It is not a slam bam, it's done. As can be inferred from this article, numerous factors influence touch DNA's effectiveness as a forensic tool. So what that means is there's a lot of different things that go into making sure that that DNA, which is going into court, is accurate. And so we go into more about the process. And this report actually took a look at something like 27 different studies and reports and kind of compiled them all. And here they are.
Wow.
Did this method work? Did that method work? The use of direct PCR with touch DNA from bullet casings detected more problems than just DNA extraction. And they go into some very highly technical stuff, which I've given you the name of this article, so you can go check it out. But I guarantee you that we will all fall asleep, including the scientists in the article, if we read all of that small print. So that's why I am going down to page 15, I believe, where they bring us to the conclusion that the collection of useful touch DNA evidence cannot prescind the selection of an appropriate sampling method. In other words, getting accurate touch.
What's up? I'll just go ahead and back this up a teeny bit. What's going on?
Nothing.
Oh, just like CJ. What do you mean? I gotta see what this article is called here. It just says DNA article. Might have mentioned it at the beginning. How was your day?
Busy, but I got all my work done.
Well, cool. How do you feel about the demo?
I kind of think that maybe the families feel kind of powerless. Maybe like SG and Kaylee's family maybe feel powerless.
Well, he said he was the one that said them and 2 other families, that there was just one family that
didn't care.
Yeah.
It's just, and I remember Christy saying in the interview that, it's like, oh my gosh, she had mixed feelings because it's like when
she'd never been there.
No.
She still hasn't gone.
And
So
when, they take that down, it's like that's the last place where she was,
Yeah, like I bet she's hit tonight with, like, do I go or do I not? Because she's never, but it's,
Hey, but you called it. You called it.
Well, it's just, it's a PR thing, It's a PR thing. That's why I felt that. That's why I felt it, because I felt it was PR. So I called the PR days that it would happen. Go figure. It's the same day that
it is kind of sad.
They DNA to match the dad, and that's what they've been asking for this whole time.
Yeah, and then that's still outstanding.
Huh?
The whole DNA thing with the court is still outstanding.
Yeah. And it's no coincidence to me.
It's scary. It's scary. Oh, I'm not going to cry. It is sad.
Mm-hmm. I know. When I started the show, and then I started really, like, it started sinking in, and I'm like, man, what would I do if I was would I, like, go there and, like, try and stop the fucking bulldozer or something? Like, what would I do?
Like, now I feel like I should go there.
I'm so glad I did.
It's sad.
I would have been so upset, like.
But, looking at it from a defense point of view, if I were an attorney, I probably wouldn't care if it got demolished or not. But, it's one of these things where they're going to do it. They were going to do it no matter what.
They kept telling you.
Yeah.
They kept telling you they were going to do it, desensitize it that way when it happens. They were like, oh, well, they already threatened it a few times already.
Do we know what they're going to put there?
Probably nothing. Probably nothing. It's probably just going to
be. They just put parking spots.
Well, think about it. When we were watching the zoning committee, right? They were already having issues with parking and water. So you get rid of the property. That's one less property that has to supply water. So that helps them out. And then the issue with having a property there was with the parking. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another frickin' parking lot.
Oh.
The Healing Garden's going to be at the university. They already said they're not going to have a memorial there at the lot. It's just going to be a lot.
I don't know. We'll just have to see. Because, there's still time. I mean, I don't know. Part of me thinks, is it going to happen? I don't know.
Is what?
Is the demolition going to happen?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know they have it planned, but I'm just wondering.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering why it's not happening after the defense is done on Friday.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, if it was gonna, there's still time, but that's just probably wishful thinking. But
the 28th for a reason.
Oh yeah, totally for a reason.
Yeah, because that's the day that they matched up BK's DNA with his dad, and that's what the defense has been asking for this whole time.
But that was the DNA they got in Pennsylvania. I mean, it's like, oh my god.
That's the day that they got the match.
The match.
They collected it the day before. They got the match the next day. And the day that they got the match is the day that they're going to be tearing it down, 1 year exactly to the day of when they matched the DNA. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what the defense wants, is like, okay, how'd you get Kohberger? How'd you get the match? Everything that the defense has been asking for this whole time. That's the day that they're choosing to start the demo. It's a big FU. It's like somebody coming up and giving you a wet willy.
It's just
It is.
this case is crazy. That's all I have to say.
Doc drop tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, I'm confused. Didn't they submit stuff already?
Yeah, they already submitted stuff the day before the 1st, on the 31st. But like I said, who says it's not a header with a redacted stamp on it?
Okay, so now we're waiting for the judge to go through it and decide what the defense gets, right?
I suppose. That's what he was supposed to do at the court hearing. Right?
But they didn't have it.
Don't you think that they would have another court hearing to then do what they were supposed to do when they were at the last court hearing?
Yeah.
Because that's when the judge was like, okay, well, we're not going to be seeing, well, we've already told you we have, because the whole court hearing was to show the judge what they have, and then he can decide on, right there. And the thing is they showed the judge what they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's been 2 weeks now. You know what I mean? That's why, to me, I'm like,
yeah. So the judge is probably going to sift through it, give her something, and she's going to say, "Wait, this isn't
incomplete. It's
what's
incomplete.
supposed to be there." So then what happens?
What she's been saying the whole time. Like I said, it's going to be delayed. It's gonna, like, what is it right now? We have no idea. There's no next court date, right? There's no next court date.
Well, he hasn't said it, because I suppose.
What is this?
What would the next court date be anyway? If the judge decides he's going to give the defense this information, I guess the court date would be for the prosecution to argue against it. I mean, I don't get it.
Your guess is as good as mine. I'm just surprised there hasn't been a document. Dude, this is Thursday, and I was saying, like 10 days ago, a week and a half ago, we got to hear something by the end of the week, or at least the beginning of next week. Well, it's past the beginning of that next week, and we're at the end of that next week, and there's still nothing.
Yeah, it's I know. But you know what? The courts are so backed up. Every time I go out, like I went on a Zoom hearing again today, and people, "Oh, you're trailing. We'll see if we can get you a courtroom." I'm listening to the people, that are like, "Oh my God." Like, it's just everything's so slow. And I feel like in Idaho, it's probably even slower. I mean, their lifestyle is a little bit slower, and they only have a certain amount of judges, and we have this complicated IGG thing, which the judge probably maybe he's getting an expert to help him. I don't know.
Why not just hand it all over,
Yeah.
I mean, it's the shit that was used to.
So if it's not going to be, discoverable doesn't necessarily mean admissible. So I mean, if it's not going to be admissible, just give it to them. If the prosecution is so confident.
This is what I don't understand about what the judge has to decide what they get to see or not. When the prosecution is telling you they've handed over everything, that means if there is anything that the defense is not going to be allowed to see based off of secrecy, don't you think the prosecution would have got it and said, okay, judge, we have some other documents, but we want you, like that would have been a conversation a long time ago. Like, well, we have some documents that we're not sure if the defense should be able to see them or not. We need you to decide. Why is he deciding anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
why? Because
so it's a discovery dispute. That's why. So it's kind of like, yeah.
But wouldn't they have said that in the beginning, though, instead of saying, Your Honor, how can we simply supply something we just don't have?
Yeah, because it's
why wouldn't they say, well, we have some, but
no, it's bullshit.
We can't show it.
It's bullshit. This happens all the time. They say, oh, we don't have it. Some other hospital has it, and blah blah blah, and so they delay, and they want to see if you're going to push. And so she pushed, and she got some information, but it's incomplete. And so she's pushing and saying this has to exist because that's what they do. They follow their policies in the FBI when they're gathering evidence. And so if they say, see, Mr. Thompson wasn't saying that it doesn't exist. He was saying that we just don't have it. We can't get it.
No, there's that court hearing where he was saying to the judge, how can we supply something that simply doesn't exist, Your Honor? I mean, he was pretty emphatic about it too, and he said it. He said it word for word.
Well, then at the next hearing, he said, I don't want the judge to think that certain things need to exist. That was a whole tidbit they got into. He was trying to say,
I'm talking about a hearing way before. Yeah.
Well,
that's when he said the word for word of what I was saying he said.
Right, but he changed his tune a little bit because, and you know what, once the judge says, look.
He said it.
Yeah, once the judge says, look, you have, he did say it doesn't exist at one point, but then.
But he also said in the last court hearing that they handed over everything and he was going to reach out. He didn't say anything different. He said the same thing.
Well,
that they don't have anything.
We just don't know what was provided for the in-camera hearing.
Yeah, no, but he never changed his tune. He said back then that he didn't have anything. He said in this last court hearing that they handed over everything and he was going to reach out to see if there was anything else.
And he said it would take.
So he never said anything to me. Yeah.
He said it would take about a month.
Yeah,
and so that's why they
put
the deadline for December 1st.
Mm-hmm. But he still said he didn't have anything.
Right. But something was produced.
That's what I said. That's why I said probably a paper that had a header and a redacted stamp on it. Because is that something? No. Are you going to say you handed something over if you just have some pieces of paper that have a header and redacting? You're going to be like, I handed over everything because you wouldn't consider this part of it because it's a header and redacted. So now because you have to hand over well, I guess I'll give them these redacted papers.
But
there you go.
But it's not fair that you could have multi-agencies investigate you and charge you with a crime and gather evidence, and you can't get that evidence. That is unconstitutionally just wrong, because you have a right to challenge those people who investigated you. So what I thought was happening was that Ann Taylor was pushing them to actually respond in writing that they don't exist. In which case she would turn around and say, well, they violated the FBI's policies. Because remember, the judge at one point said, so what if they violated the FBI policies? And everybody was like, oh my God, what? And he was saying, so what? So what? Let's say they violated the FBI policies. What is that? What does that do for you? Well, she responded with, well, then that means they didn't follow the rules. And if they didn't follow the rules, then anything they got is from the fruit of the poisonous tree, which means it's out the door. And so and there is a difference between something that you can't get and something that doesn't exist. And I knew they were going to have to produce something. We don't know what it is, but I knew they were going to have to produce something.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't know what it is. And you know what? The judge is taking a long time, and it's frustrating me. It's like I feel like it's my case, and I want to know, but it's not my case, and I need to focus on my cases, not, you know what I mean? But yeah, I would be like, literally, if this was happening to me, I'd be on the phone every day. What is the status of you getting the stuff from the FBI? I would be calling every day and writing down, okay, today he did this and this. I would be the biggest pain in the ass. I'd be calling every day because I'm so compulsive. I'd be saying, what did you do today to get that stuff? I don't have to answer to you. Oh, okay. I'll write it. He said he doesn't have to answer to me. And finally the judge made the ruling that it is within the prosecutor's it's within the prosecutor's realm to get that information, that it has to be, because you can't use different agencies and get somebody in jail on a probable cause and then say, oh, I don't know what they did. I don't know. I can't get the information. Really, in the United States, you have the right to confront your accusers. You have a right to confront those who got the evidence against you, who interviewed people. I mean, just because they're the FBI, that's not an immunity. It's not.
No, but that's what happens.
Yeah, it would be absurd.
There's
absurd.
You got reality, and then you got the way it's supposed to go. And that's the difference.
That's why it upsets me so much.
That's the difference.
But when you have more people, when you have a whole bunch of agencies involved, it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess. And you know what? You have the FBI, you have local law enforcement saying, we don't want the FBI here. We can do it. It's just like, this whole ego thing, as opposed to, let's try and work this together. Let's try and make sure we get the right person. And then you have the school. It's like putting pressure, like, we got to get that, we can't have this. I mean, the students, the families, and you got so many people involved.
They had their livelihoods on the line, because if they don't have that enrollment remain, then their own livelihoods get affected. Because don't you think if their funding gets affected, that their pay isn't going to get affected? And then when their pay gets affected, then it messes up how they usually have been living, because you get used to, the more you make, the more you spend, the more you get used to this. And then all of a sudden, if all out of the blue, because the enrollment's gone and you got to take a $10,000 a year pay cut or something, that's a decent hit.
Yeah.
That affects your livelihood too. See, you have not only the pressure of them looking like Fumbaloo, where they don't even know what they're doing. They don't know how to solve something. They're already getting heat from the community. I mean, hell, it took them 3 days to have a fucking press conference for you know what I mean? Like, they have, and plus to, their livelihoods, damn straight they needed to have something done,
Yeah. So Crime Solver is asking a question about what's the judge's role then? Just to try. What?
I just said, what's up to AR?
Oh, sorry. Crime Solver is asking a question about what's the judge's role then, just to try to compel the prosecution to get the data, but that's all he or she can do to stay neutral. Well, the judge, attorneys are just supposed to exchange information. If there's a problem, then you bring it to the judge. You say, we want this. They're not giving it, and we think we're entitled to it. So that's what's happened here. So he's going to look at it. The judge is going to look at whatever it is that they produced. He told them, just because they're the FBI, that doesn't mean that it's not within the purview of the prosecution to get it because of those DOJ guidelines. So,
Right.
yeah. So
You should.
And there's a gag order, so we don't know what was produced. So now that it's produced, presumably the judge is looking at it and he's going to make a decision, but it's a complicated one because it involves all this craziness with the DNA and the IgG. And he even said, I may need to bring an expert in here, to help me. I mean, I would be more.
Oh, yeah. You could tell by the look on his face that he don't know, I mean, hell, that's what I'm saying. Like, we've watched a hell of a lot more expert footage when it comes to this kind of DNA than he probably has. And if we're still confused, I mean, we're in no way experts either, even though we watched all of it and listened to it. And can you imagine us being in the position where somebody's life is on the line and we have to decide what's important and what's not when it comes to that kind of technology? I can't imagine.
No, and so this is why Ann Taylor brought those experts, to that hearing on IgG, because she wanted to educate the judge. But it's really it's really just bothering me because I feel like it should move faster. Like it's probably my own thing too, because I'm stuck with a bunch of cases that aren't going with the court, and it probably has a lot to do with my own projection onto this Idaho4 case. But it is what it is, and the judge, I mean, I don't know what he did before he became a judge, but if you don't have any medical or any, if you don't have any, if you've just done like corporate law or something like that and you become a judge, this kind of stuff is like, I mean, I remember it's an investigative tool, and so because it's an investigative tool, if you're convicted of a crime, you want to see how they use that investigative tool, and you need to make sure that that investigative tool was not misused. They didn't take shortcuts using that investigative tool. So, you just, it's fair game.
Yeah, just like I said, if I get pulled over and I wasn't speeding, I want to see the radar.
Yeah, that's an investigative tool.
It's the same thing.
The radar has to be calibrated properly. It has to be, there's a bunch of things, But it does make me sad.
I want to see it. Two main factors in any trial: what the judge will permit and the demographics of the jury. Yeah. Do you think the prosecution? I don't think so. I don't even think they. No.
I don't know. I will say you never know, because this case is full of surprises.
Well, you never do know, because you don't even know if you're going to be living tomorrow or not. But yeah. I don't anticipate it. They don't give a shit. They got everything they need. If they didn't, they would have went back in there when the FBI did.
Well, the FBI is them.
They're part of it, yeah.
I mean, they're under the umbrella.
Who knows? Maybe MPD's the one who sent in the corduroy couch, and the FBI's the one that used the real shit, where you can take slices of the house and everything inside of it and literally remove or add a slice of what, huge differences in technology when it came to, the first one they did after a month after, and then that they just did with the FBI. Humongous.
And they can build off of the first one, you said? Or is it possible?
Well, I'm sure it is, because anything technical, and then you're talking about the same company. I'm sure they have some kind of uh, where they can incorporate both of their diagrams. But I think one is what I think is like one is going to be meant for, like where they said the jury members are going to have like a VR headset that they're going to be able to put on, and it's going to be able to walk them through. I think that's what the first scan is going to be for, is for like the virtual tour part. And then I think when you're looking at a breakdown of the house when it comes to the rooms and the diagramming and mapping of everything, then I think that's what the FBI stuff is going to be used for, where it's going to be used for more of like your diagrams, going from the third floor to the second floor to the bottom floor. You're able to remove and add slices while you're presenting what you're discussing. But who knows? Maybe they might have just said, wow, this looks like a corduroy couch. We're just going to throw it in the garbage and we're going to go completely redo it. But when you see the technology of what they were using when they went back and how they can, almost like an MRI scan where you can look at different slices of the brain to determine, it's almost the same way. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was botched from day one. Damn straight. Damn straight.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think it was. I mean, I'm not an expert in police procedure, but I mean,
when they say unalive self, unalive Yoli, I knew from that moment on. I was like, oh my gosh, who in the fuck goes like this? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then you see them going in and out, people driving the cars there. They should have secured the whole area. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't even want to say, but it just looked wrong.
You just look at the previous crimes where people do that and unalive themselves, and it's not with the same style. It's usually with some other, it's usually some other route. So it just never made sense to me.
Yeah.
It just never did. Let me see here. Let me get to this. We'll get back to this episode here, Andrew.
Well, sorry, it's a somber mood.
No, it was just I'm sitting here after the show was over, and then I was just like, damn. And then,
I was gonna go to lunch, and I looked at my phone, and I looked at YouTube, and there you were. I was like, oh my god! I was like one of the first comments.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, for tonight? Huh.
No, when you went and said that the house was going to be demolished.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I put out a video, and then for some reason, like, the clarity was all fucked up on it, so I just deleted it and put a new one up.
Well, when I saw it immediately, because I was going to go eat,
yeah.
I looked at my phone, I thought, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it was shocking. It just, I don't know. It's just when we started talking about it at the beginning of the show, and then I'm just like, damn, what would I do if I was one of the family members, And I just pictured myself like, would I stand in front of the fucking bulldozer, to prevent them from, what would, I don't know. I just can't imagine. You don't want the damn thing torn down, but
I feel like when people have the means, they're able to do much more than people who don't have the means. And it's kind of sucky, Like you're looking at the OJ trial. I mean, he had a whole dream team, Some person who is just regular person, they can't have that. They don't have the benefit of that. Like I do everything myself. I do discovery. I do everything myself. And it's because I'm not the one that makes a case. It's the experts that do. But I don't know. It's just strange.
And speaking of OJ, we got the OJ 25 members only live episode 3, 12 Central, 1 Eastern on Sunday. And then we're replaying episode 2 for everybody's Sunday night at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern. So if you're a member, come hang out with us earlier in the day for the newest episode. And if you're not a member, come hang out with us Sunday night and watch the previous week's episode. I know, I can't wait. And I love it too, because we get to have the new episode early Sunday, and then I get to hang out with you guys, and I get to watch the previous week's episode. And so it's like a double dose of it for me. I love it. Because even though we watched the previous week's episode, I'm like, damn, this is good. So are you going to, oh yeah, you're going to be busy with your friends this weekend, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm sad, but
Yeah.
you know.
Well, it's all good.
I wish she was a true crime person, but she's not. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's too bad they couldn't join or something.
Yeah, I was like, you know, I mean,
right?
But no, she's no.
She'd be like, oh my gosh, this is boring.
No, it's not that it's boring. It's probably more triggering than anything.
Oh, okay.
Oh
yeah, you don't want
she
that.
grew up in Lebanon, and there was a war going on. I mean, she saw her grandmother's house get blown up right in front of her. So she's, you know, this type of thing is not her cup of tea. So
yeah, I mean, I get it. It's not.
No, it's not because it's not interesting. She listens to me talk about it, and she's always known I've been interested in it. But
yeah.
You know, it's yeah, you know, she stays away from watching violent things and stuff like that.
Well, how long have you guys been friends? She
30
lives in
years.
30 years.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm going to be starting to do more conversations with CJ episodes where I'm going to be doing more interviews. So maybe one day in the future, like when she comes back or something, we can sit down and talk to you about your guys' friendship through all the years.
That would be great.
If you listen, if you want to do it this weekend, let me know. But you know, we can wait until next time. But we could always sit down and hang out, and I could just, you know, ask you guys questions, and you can talk about your friendship through the years and the distance. And
it is quite the story. And you know what? I met her when we were taking care of the elderly.
Yeah.
So we were taking care of Alzheimer's patients, or you know, Alzheimer's residents at an assisted living home. And I had 2 jobs because I was trying to pay off my school loans for the psychology degree. And I had worked at a psychiatric hospital and also at the Park, which is a very fancy assisted living home, where, you know, they paid a lot of money to have them there. So they had very qualified caregivers. And we had so much fun working with those elderly people, and we became very, very good friends. And I was teaching her Spanish, and she was teaching me Arabic, so I know some Arabic. She knows some Spanish.
What's her name?
Rania.
Rania?
Rania Helby. Mm-hmm.
Well, shout out Rania.
One of the things that I remember is I was asking her, so how do you say hello, you know, to a man? Like, you know, how do you say hello in Arabic? And she said, marhaba kifak. Like, what? Marhaba kifak. And marhaba kifik is for a woman. That's how you say it formally. So that language, and you know what? That language is so similar to Spanish. So kamis is in Arabic, that's shirt. Camisa is Spanish for shirt.
Oh, wow.
And pantalon is Arabic for pants, and pantalones is Spanish for pants.
Huh.
And I thought, what the hell? So we started, you know, communicating, and it was actually, she's been my best friend for 30 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you if you guys are cool with it, if sometime Saturday you want to do it or something, or in between the stuff on Sunday, if you guys want to, just let me know. Maybe like 2 hours.
Okay. It might be better when I go over to see her in San Francisco.
Yeah, whatever.
But I'll talk to her. I mean, we have some stuff planned for this weekend, but I'll talk to her. It would be a great interview. Oh my God, she's the most. She came here and did not know English at all. She was in an arranged marriage. She got married at 18. It was arranged, like he was already picked out. He was like 15 years older than her. And it didn't last, but part of her story is crazy. It's crazy. I mean, she grew up in a violent community where people were getting bombed and things like that, and she has such a sense of humor. But anyway, yeah, I'll talk to her.
Alrighty. Yeah, do that. I think it'll be cool. Yeah, because I'm gonna be doing like starting after the beginning of the year. I've been saying it for almost a year, really, that eventually after the new year comes, I'm gonna be starting to introduce more interviews into the show. So it'll be like a 1/3 interviews, 2/3 true crime shows. Because I want to start doing a lot more interviews as well. I think there's a lot of interesting content as well, and it doesn't always have to be about the true crime stuff. We can, but not to say that we're not going to interview true crime content creators, true crime guests, people that are in the true crime community. But I think it's going to be beneficial just to like different experiences and different backgrounds and different stories, and I think we can learn a lot just from everybody's stories or dreams or goals or passions or anything.
Yeah, and so some people didn't know that I spoke Arabic. I well, way back when I knew it a little bit more, and they would be talking in Arabic, and I understood what they were saying, and they're like, "Whoa, like, are you what are like?" They don't. Farsi is a different language, but they were like, "Whoa." So yeah, and I learned it was a lot like Spanish. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds like it.
It is like inshallah is God willing, and enchilada is a food, but you figure it's the same. That's how I learned it.
I love tacos, so.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is Andrew D. Myers, Laney Law. I can't remember what they were on. It was this DNA article, and he's about to talk about the next step here.
PCR with touch DNA from bullet casings detected more problems than just DNA extraction, and they go into some very highly technical stuff, which I've given you the name of this article, so you can go check it out. But I guarantee you that we will all fall asleep, including the scientists in the article, if we read all of that small print. So that's why I am going down to page 15, I believe, where they bring us to the conclusion that the collection of useful touch DNA evidence cannot prescind the selection of an appropriate sampling method. In other words, getting accurate touch DNA evidence has to go along with an appropriate sampling method. According to the studies examined in this review, like I said before, I think it goes over 27 different international studies on touch DNA. It is nowadays possible to obtain satisfactory results. Notice it didn't say perfect results. It said satisfactory results from the analysis of LC-DNA, depending on the recovery technique used. So there's a question about, on cross-examination, there's a good question on the recovery technique, which technique was used, but also how it was done and was the protocol followed. However, almost all articles revealed that further research is needed on the impact of using different methodologies to collect samples to determine the most effective collection method. More comprehensive knowledge of detecting a profile based on the type of object and its history, identifying the most appropriate areas to target for DNA sampling, and the impact of additional factors such as duration, frequency, and manner of contact is required. Further research is required. Being able to know, harmonize, and improve these aspects would definitely strengthen the value of DNA evidence in the courtrooms. This tells us that further research is needed in this touch DNA science in order to equivocate what's going on some touch DNA sample and the forensics that are ultimately being produced in court. So I found that really interesting. Lady, do you have a take on that, or should we move on to number 4?
Well, I do want to say it is something that is hard to conceptualize for myself and a lot of people. Correct me if you think that anything I'm saying is incorrect. But with human beings, from my understanding, all human beings are 99% identical in DNA. So the fact that they're able to get this science down and see things like you can't even see, like when we have dust, it's like our skin cells and things like that. So it's something that you're not able to see with the human mind. So it is a really deep, in-depth science, but at the same time, like Andrew mentioned, this is something that people are doing, and you can touch something and then touch something else, or you hold on to somebody else's belongings and you're getting that DNA on it, and you can transfer, touch DNA through so many different ways that, like you said, it's humans doing it, mistakes happen, and there's a lot of different components to go out with it. I am curious to see in the future now, with the rise of technology and AI, what that's going to do for the technology. But from my understanding right now, it's not precise and it's not perfect. So
Exactly. Good catch on that. And I think I don't want to belabor the point because, from reading the comments that we have gotten, and we're going to read some later, many of our viewers are very intelligent and very perceptive and know a lot about this stuff. So we're going to move on to the other thing. But I mean, everybody I think knows that we're not talking about a full, credible, excellent sample of DNA, which comes from body fluids.
Yeah, he's got a
including
cringe on.
blood and spit and other body fluids. We're dealing with, somebody touched something maybe only once. So that's what we're dealing with. It is not contrary to what we've heard. It's not an exact science. That brings us to note number 4. There we go. And that is the Hyundai Elantra. We all know that in the probable cause affidavit that law enforcement was initially looking for a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Then it turned out that Brian Kohberger had a 2015 Elantra. So, a lot of people have made a lot of a big issue out of that. I honestly don't know if you can make a big issue out of it because of the many, many sightings of suspect vehicle 1. We've put one right there on the screen, and I'll blow it up a little bit so you can see it. And, can you really tell that that's even an Elantra? I guess there is an expert at the FBI, and that's his job. And he said that's an Elantra. And okay, sure. That's okay, sure. But that was one of the more clear pictures. There's an issue as to whether it was a 2011 to 13 or whether it was a 2015. And you're seeing the pictures of the two of them right there on the screen. Lainey, do you see any difference?
From the cars from the 2011 to the 2015, yes. But I mean, from this picture that we have, the suspect vehicle, I can't even tell anything about that car. But when you compare the two cars, it looks like there are some subtle differences. But you would think that the expert would be able to, identify that kind of stuff.
And I didn't mean to trick you. I just sprung that on you. And before we started recording, I didn't tell you we were going to do this. But to my eye, they're almost identical. The thing that's different is underneath the left front headlight, there's a fog light, and the one on the 2011 is a little bit different than the one in the 2015. And if you think I'm being picayune, let's take a look at the rear, which is more relevant here. On the left, you see the 2015, and on the right, you see the 2011 to 2013 model. And the lights that have been circled here are a little bit different. If you look at them, the ones on the left are a little bit narrower, and the ones on the right are a little bit less narrow. And so that's the difference. And so how you can really tell from a grainy picture, I don't know. But it has been said by people that have gone much more deeply into this than we're going to right here today, that some of those images that they were able to get of what they said was suspect vehicle 1 had an Elantra that had amber tail lights. Dun, 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 because the Elantra from 2011 to 2015, the one Mr. Kohberger was driving, the tail lights, although they may have changed a little bit, were always red. So some of the grainy visuals of the vehicle were amber, which means it wasn't the car. So
That's interesting. I hadn't heard anybody bring that up. I haven't heard anybody bring that up about the amber color. How can they tell? Because it's off a monitor screen already through a picture. Oh yeah, I know. I said since the first day that's what they wanted was that car. People were laughing at me when I said it. No, they wanted some other documents. No, they just wanted a photo of the car.
Which means it wasn't the car. So I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is I'm sure a lot of the viewers watching were kind of playing the same game that I was, where you're looking at the car and you're like, what really is different? And like you mentioned, that fog light is pretty much one of the only noticeable differences in like one of like the grill areas. I'm not a car expert, sorry guys.
No, and there's a guy, no, neither am I. And if you were, you could go to the FBI and get a job, because there's a guy and that's his job. He can identify
one without a sunroof.
Years, all that good stuff. So let's, like I said, we're not going to do too deep of a dive into that. So let's do a little dive into the crime scene. And, we talked about this before, but this is a little bit different in that there are many ways in which that crime scene was just, atrociously handled. And experts, not me, experts who we're going to look at in a minute, have noticed major missteps. This is a textbook how not to do it case. And the police force was fairly inexperienced. And here's an article from the Daily Mail telling us about the crime scene and how it was handled. And it says, inexperienced Idaho police made a major misstep when they removed personal items from the home where 4 students were murdered before families got a chance to walk through the grisly scene. That's according to private investigator Sheila Wasaki, who said that the police in Moscow, Idaho, made a major misstep in the case of the 4 students. Wasaki, 60, became a household name in the world of crime when she solved the murder of her own college roommate 30 years ago. 30 years after the crime, I should say. She expressed concern that the inexperienced Idaho police force...
Hold on, I gotta pause this real quick. Shout out Caddy. See, this is exactly what I'm saying. We need more evidence. Can you show us a picture of the real car? Right? Shout out Caddy. Look at this. Can you show us a picture of the real car? Shout out Caddy. Vehicle similar, right? And then look at this one. The real photo. Who cares if you can't see a damn license plate on it? At least you got the real photo. Thank you, Caddy. Appreciate that. She's always dropping bomb shit. Thank you, Caddy. I had to stop it and share that.
Sorry, I'm on mute. I said yes, the real photo.
Oh. Yeah, the real photo. Thank you, Caddy. Right. What the hell?
Mishandled the crime scene and lost a valuable opportunity for evidence. I think it's a major misstep that they did not give any family members that opportunity to walk through the crime scene before it was disturbed. I just must hope they have taken hundreds of good crime scene photographs, she said. Moscow Police Department made a major misstep when they removed the personal items from the home. This is the assertion of Sheila Wasaki, speaking exclusively to the Daily Mail. She described the removal of items as a major misstep and expressed concern that the inexperienced police force had mishandled the crime scene and lost a valuable and irrecoverable opportunity. Now,
rewind it. Do what? Rewind it for what? So rewind that so I can hear it. Which part? This one?
let's do a little dive into the crime scene. And, we've talked about this before, but this is a little bit different in that there are many ways in which that crime scene was just, atrociously handled. And experts, not me, experts who we're going to look at in a minute, have noticed major missteps. This is a textbook how not to do it case. And the police force was fairly inexperienced. And here's an article from the Daily Mail telling us about the crime scene and how it was handled. And it says, inexperienced Idaho police made a major misstep when they removed personal items from the home where 4 students were murdered before families got a chance to walk through the grisly scene. That's according to private investigator Sheila Wasaki, who said that the police in Moscow, Idaho, made a major misstep in the case of the 4 students. Wasaki, 60, became a household name in the world of crime when she solved the murder of her own college roommate 30 years ago, 30 years after the crime, I should say. She expressed concern that the inexperienced Idaho police force had mishandled the crime scene and lost a valuable opportunity for evidence. I think it's a major misstep that they did not give any family members that opportunity to walk through the crime scene before it was disturbed. I just must hope they have taken hundreds of good crime scene photographs, she said. Moscow Police Department made a major misstep when they removed the personal items from the home. This is the assertion of Sheila Wasaki. Speaking exclusively.
It says that they removed the personal items, which they said that they were doing it for the family's comfort. Remember? We're doing it for the families. Chief Fry was standing outside, and that's what he was saying. Remember? They were doing it for the families. Now we're hearing the families. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they were reached out to and they all declined. I don't know. Because this is the reporter's article, so.
To the Daily Mail. She described the removal of items as a major misstep and expressed concern that the inexperienced police force had mishandled the crime scene and lost a valuable and irrecoverable opportunity. Now, this is the kind of thing
Well, I don't think so, Riddler. And then they sat in that lot where they got towed, and then they got snow all over them and everything. I mean, and it already snowed the next day on the vehicles, so you're talking it's already contaminated. Whether it was going from one location to another or sitting there out in the elements, I don't remember seeing anybody out there taking prints or anything on any of the vehicles. If anything, they were just people going inside the property and then hanging out outside, and that was about it. I don't remember anybody, because I think you would have seen it. I think it would be on tape if they had, because there was people out there, whether it was 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, there was somebody out there ready to record something.
you would never see from the local media out there because they need the local police department as a source. So, we have to go to a news source way over in the UK. She explained that as difficult as it can be, the difference between solving the case and not, and the police having good information or not, is in things like this. So there's just more pictures. One of the interesting things we pointed out in a previous podcast is that the police chief himself drove the U-Haul van that went to the crime scene and helped himself, taking the articles out of the facility, out of the 1122 King Road. And there you see the police chief
for the family,
carrying some of the students' things.
Putting his touch DNA on everything.
Well,
for the family.
Also, as we're going to see in a minute, it's just, it's just so far afield of any protocol that it's just, it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Riddler.
The the house at 1122 Kings Road, where childhood friends Kaylee Gonsalves and Madison Mogan, both 21, and Zanika Nodal and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, both 20, were brutally murdered and remains a crime scene and under police control, according to the Moscow police captain Anthony Dallinger. I'm going to say his name is pronounced. An officer sits guard at the door, and yellow crime scene tape is still wreathed around the house and the tree line behind it. But 3 weeks after the grisly murders, Moscow Police Department officers were seen boxing up and removing items from the home. 3 weeks. At the time, police said that family members had been asking for the items back and stated that the belongings were no longer needed in the hunt for the murderer. So what? Chief of Police James Fry drove the U-Haul truck into the driveway himself, while his officers loaded box after box of the 4 victims' belongings. Speaking on the day of the removal, Idaho State Police Public Information Officer Aaron Snell admitted that it was not something police usually do, but the hope was that it would help the families with the healing. He said, "We don't want to keep holding on to items that really aren't needed for the investigation, but according to Wysocki, it was a decision that could prove disastrous." As she said, nobody, not even the most seasoned detective, can spot the sort of detail in a student's room that the parent could have. She said they have better insights into their child, although they're living away from home. They know their child better than any officer working this case, and they would be able to look and say he or she would never do that, or this is out of place. There's something that's just not right in this room. So rather than doing the investigation in a manner that would, obviously take longer, but be more thorough, when the parents pressured them, they just, went in and, they went in and moved the stuff out themselves. Wysocki said they will have brushed for every single fingerprint in that house, every single one, and match them to whomever. That's a monumental task. But she also voiced concern at the relative inexperience of the first officers on the scene. The lead investigator has only been a police officer for 2 years. She said, Idaho is going to be remembered for this case, and how they handle it could be the subject of a class 15 years from now, because they did this wrong or they did that wrong. So I don't know. That's kind of a odd thing that happened, and it was kind of a interesting thing that was in the newspaper there, because the newspapers, out in Idaho and Washington State wouldn't dare, bite a source that feeds them. You really read the news like Newsweek and others, and they're really, cheering the police on. And I'm not saying anything bad about the police. I support police, but the way that this particular investigation was done just left so many questions. That's all. That's what I'm saying.
I can't even begin to imagine. I mean, it's horrifying to think as a parent, and I mentioned this last time, going into a scene like that. But at the same time, we don't even know. I'm curious. I mean, even with the knife sheath, how would they even know that it didn't belong to one of the victims? Things like that, where that could have been something a parent could have identified. I don't know. We don't know really anything about this case.
Yeah, that's a good point. People have said that. How do we know that that knife sheath didn't belong to Dylan Mortensen has been given very limited information, and Bethany Funk didn't want to give any information behind what she may have said to an investigator by the name of Richard Battanti. So yeah, good point that you raised. And so it's just something that makes you
This is one of the things that I've been saying for a while, who's to say, and that's one of the things I brought up to them when we had our show yesterday, because they asked me about it, and I was like, to be honest, I brought up the coffee cup thing that I always bring up, the touch transfer with the coffee cup thing that I've been saying for months. And then, I was telling them yesterday, I was like, I've been even thinking for a long time, like, who's to say that sheath, because the sheath was separated from a belt, which usually if you have a sheath, you have it with a belt. You don't bring the sheath to then just take it out and commit the crime. And you know what I mean? Like, you don't just take it there to take it out. If you're going to have it in a sheath, then maybe you have it and take it out before you go into the property, kind of thing. And so, you know, I was trying to explain to them, who's to say that when DM stated, I think so, when DM stated that she heard somebody from upstairs say, I think somebody's here, you know, I was telling them, who's to say that one of the girls didn't go grab it to go defend them, and then they were overpowered anyway, and maybe the person took it. That's why we never found it either. We don't know. Because he's like, what's your biggest question of this case? And I said, my biggest question is how the sheath got there. That's my biggest question of this case. Before we get to how you got to the DNA, I want to know how the sheath got there before we even get to the DNA. Because if you're going to tell me that the sheath got there because it was one of the victims, well, then who gives a fuck about the DNA? Who cares? Now, if you're saying, yeah, the person that committed the crime put that there, well, then that totally changes the DNA, does it not? It does. Totally changes the DNA when it comes to how it got there. The white car, you're wanting me to show the white car? Sorry, I haven't been seeing chat. Let me pull it up and I'll show it. Here you go.
I think it's a Chevy.
Yeah, it does look like a. Yeah, it does look like a Chevy from the taillights.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go into the PCA tonight and read through it again. Because this episode is only like another 20 minutes, and then we might be able to get through it.
Yeah.
Read some of the PCA.
Yeah.
And we can go to where it talks about the sheath too.
Yeah.
I can't wait till our episode drops, because man, we had some good conversations about some.
Well, the bottom line is, I mean, the sheath is not the murder weapon, so
we don't know. Yeah, we don't even know if the weapon was a K-bar.
You can't even. I mean, that's what I would harp on. Is like, okay, there's a sheath, but that did not kill them. Okay.
Right.
Sorry. You got to match up DNA with the weapon, and it has to be, you know, the type of DNA that is not, you know, built around snips and cuts, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. It's interesting to read the PCA about the sheath.
Yeah, that it was. Well, you got to remember, Brent Payne. Usually the person that's writing that is the first person that shows up.
But he wasn't the first person that showed up.
No, he was the third.
Mm-hmm.
He was the third. And when you see what's written in the PCA, well, you know, it's all based off of my experience and then what I was told, yeah. what I learned. Yeah, we're gonna go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go through that.
Raise your eyes. So now the next note that I kept in the case is note 2, cell phone records. You know, there's been a lot said about how well they, you know, they were able to follow Mr. Koberg around in Moscow, Idaho. And he had circled the area 12 times before the crime. Really? I mean, is the number of cell phones, or I should say, is the number of cell phone towers really enough that they can accurately pinpoint the exact location? It takes 3 good working order cell phone towers, and they all 3 have to get a good signal. And then, you know, from the 3 of them, they triangulate and they find the location. So we don't really know that they could do that. But here's an expert that's actually appeared in court out in that area. Telecommunications expert Ben Levitan is quoted in the Idaho Statesman newspaper back on February 2nd of 2023. And he says cell phone records as evidence are very reliable and useful, but it's not DNA. Levitan said in a follow-up email, it doesn't have the precision that would allow you to pinpoint a person's phone. The best the state of Idaho can say is that this phone was in a 27 square mile area that includes the crime scene 12 times.
Right. And I'm going to zoom up on this so I can show you guys. This is why I tell you before I even see the sign for Moscow in Idaho, I'm already utilizing the same tower that the property uses, and that shows you right there. Because that's the exact tower that I was seeing when I went to T-Mobile and I asked them to show me the frickin' towers. That one right there. See the state line right here? If you can see my cursor. There's the state line. You connect all the way back here. You connect before you even see the sign for Idaho or Moscow. I ain't bullshitting. It's there, right there. Before you even see fucking Idaho, you're connecting. You're utilizing the tower that the home utilized. Okay, so you can still be in Pullman and still utilize the same tower. Because see where it says Sunshine right there? Yeah, there's a little bits of Pullman that are still within that tower's range. You could still be in Pullman.
So my point is this. Okay, you know, we saw the triangulation work very accurately in the Alexander Murdoch case and in other cases in other areas that have different setups of cell phone towers. But in this case, in a fairly remote area where there's not a lot of cell phone towers and where the terrain is such that, you know, it's a rural area, this
All right, here we go. So you can ping off both towers. Yeah, sorry, it was muted there. So see how there's like little bits of Pullman right here? You can literally be in Pullman and still connect. Now, you could be right here in this area. You could even be over here. You could be in this blue line right here, okay? You can literally, because your cell phone is constantly, every single second, your cell phone is looking for the best connection. So if at any moment this tower provides a better connection than this tower over here, you're connecting to this one. You could literally connect from this one to this one, to this one, to this one, because your cell phone is constantly looking. So yeah, it's possible. You could be bouncing off of both of them. And when you look right here, straight down from Pullman Airport, You can see a small section of Pullman right there where you could be utilizing the same tower. You could be in Busby and utilizing the same tower as the crime scene. Yeah, it just depends on what the strongest tower is. Now, say that say the elevation changes in the area, right? Say there's like a lot more mountains right over here on this side or something. Your phone's automatically going to ping to this because it has the least obstructions in its way, so it's going to give the best signal. You could literally go past the state line right here and come to Walmart. You can go to Walmart, which honestly, if you're from Pullman, it's not that far of a drive to go to Walmart over here, especially if you get bags for the shit that you buy, because it's a pain in the ass when you go to Walmart and Pullman over here and you have to walk out with everything in your hand. So towards the end of my trip there, I started to learn, why don't I just take this airport road, swing down here, and then take a left and hit up Walmart real quick, because then I can bring all the shit in my hotel with bags. All right, we'll get back to this episode.
Of 2023, and he says cell phone records as evidence are very reliable and useful, but it's not DNA. Levitan said in a follow-up email, it doesn't have the precision that would allow you to pinpoint a person's phone. The best the state of Idaho can say is that this phone was in a 27 square mile area that includes the crime scene 12 times.
Yeah.
So my point is this. Okay.
He could have went shopping at Walmart 12 frickin' times, you guys.
You know, we saw the triangulation work very accurately in the Alexander Murdoch case and in other cases in other areas that have different setups of cell phone towers. But in this case, in a fairly remote area where there's not a lot of cell phone towers and where the terrain is such that, you know, it's a rural area.
It's not Chicago.
The state will bring in an expert. Here's the point. The state will bring in an expert that'll say, we know where Mr. Kohberger was. He was here at 2:58 in the morning. He was there at 3:07 in the morning. He was there, and they'll give all the times and locations, and they'll say, that's that. My point is, here's an expert who has testified in court previously who will say, no, you can't really rely on that. So you're going to have one expert saying, yeah, you can trust the cell phone data, and another expert's going to say, no, you can't, and here's why, and he'll get into the details of it all, and we could go into the details, but we're not going to, because to get into the details of the whole thing would take probably another half hour, and I don't want to bore all of our listeners, as we probably have already, going through all that DNA. But the point is, there's going to be two experts. A lot of times juries listen to two experts, and they just kind of, they strike them, and they just go with their feelings, or they go with witness testimony, which in this case, who do we have? We get back to Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen. So if we have one expert saying, yes, the cell phone is a precise science, and another expert like this guy saying, no, it's not, you're going to have the jury often saying, forget them both. We don't have time to sit here and go point by point by point through the textbook knowledge of these guys who have told us that they have a great deal of training and experience and all the rest. They're not going to have time to, listen to them. They'll cancel them both out and go on to other things. So the point here is that the cell phone data, I think that the probable cause affidavit made way too much of it. What do you think?
I think that it's a ridiculous comparison to make, but I think that a lot of people watching this are going to be able to empathize and understand. There's a game called Pokemon Go. I don't know if you've heard of it, Andrew. But that's a game where you have like a little avatar and it walks around like your neighborhood and you find Pokemon that way. And anybody who has played that game can tell you that sometimes your character goes off and just starts running, thinking that you're in another area. Like even on, a local to New Hampshire downtown Manchester area, you could be sitting in the middle of a city and sometimes your character starts wandering off and it's not necessarily precise. So I can't even really imagine in a place where you don't actually have surface to be, perfectly defining the points.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
I've actually seen people doing that. I've actually seen people, wandering around with their phones going, "Oh, it's over here. No, it's over here. No, we're over across the street." Over here. And I'll ask. I'm just curious because
why is there a group of 7 people all excited at their phone?
And one group is down the street a block away, and another group is down the other street a block away, and another group is across the street. Just being the curious, friendly kind of a guy I am. What are you doing? Pokemon. We're looking for Pokemon. We're looking for blah, 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 blah. I don't even understand. But, there's 3 groups. This is happening. There's 3 different groups of people looking for the same thing. And they're 3 different locations. So, no, that was a good analogy. I like that analogy.
And he hasn't even played, so he gets it.
No, but I get it.
I never thought about that.
My point is that the jury is going to have these battling experts, and they're going to say, nah. We're not going to sit here and listen to this and go through all this textbook stuff and, decide, well, was it this? Was it that? No, we want to hear from Dylan and Bethany and that's that. So, let's move on to the next point, which is point number 1. Now, what we're looking at here is the inside of a Hyundai Elantra. Some of the Hyundai Elantras have a infotainment feature that actually can track where the car was and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of our viewers, I hate to keep referring to the case, but it was a textbook prosecution. Alexander Murdoch, there was an FBI electronics engineer who testified regarding the onboard computer system.
Can I just say something?
Mr. Murdoch's car.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, those cars that have, like cameras where you see where you're backing out and all this stuff, those are like the biggest distractions ever. I cannot have a car like that. I want to look behind me. I don't get it. They're the biggest distraction. And
I never really drove one. So.
I don't want to drive one. I drove a rental like that and I was just, what? Like I can't rely on the camera, like I need to look anyway, and then it's telling you you're going okay, but I don't believe that because I can see certain things. So
I don't think this one had I think it's just like a GPS thing. I don't think it had a rear camera on the Hyundai. I think it's just the GPS on the dash there. Oh, you're good. No, I don't think they come with the rear cameras on there, unless it's like an upgraded package, but that's what they're saying. In order to have all that stuff record everything, it would have to be an upgraded package, and he didn't have that. So yeah, I think it's just the GPS thing on there.
And he testified very eloquently about the onboard computer system. It reported stuff about the state of the vehicle, when the vehicle was on, when the vehicle was off, when the doors were open and closed, when it was in and out of park, and it gave a general timeline of movement. It wasn't as precise as a satellite, but it did help put Mr. Murdoch behind bars. Now, Hyundai Elantras have had a similar infotainment system, but it is an option. And if that option is selected, then there's a touch screen panel.
And you had to get it when you purchased it brand new too. It's something you had to request when you purchased brand new for that particular year. So unless you bought it from a dealership and asked for that package, you weren't going to get it.
So you can't, like, after you get it, say, I want this, and they install it? It was a model year where you had to request it. Yeah, as an upgrade. Yeah, you had to request it. Yeah. So, not to say that they didn't have one there. I'm just saying, if you're a college student, but there's different dashes for it. The upgraded dash is different.
And this
I'm
was
sure he's gonna
available.
do it.
Mr. Koberger bought the vehicle, but see the little touch screen in that picture? When Mr.
Yeah,
Koberger was stopped, you can see that touchscreen is not there, which means that the infotainment system giving that precise information is not in Mr. Koberger's 2015 Hyundai Elantra.
Right.
But why did I go through all of that? There are experts out there.
You got to show people.
One of them is by the name of Lee Reber, who is a mobile forensic investigations expert. And he says that in his observations, Elantras have a separate navigation system on board since 2011. So remember that the probable cause affidavit was done, in late January before they took the car in as evidence. So if they were able to get this electronic data out of the car, that came after the probable cause affidavit, and all the discovery in the case has been kept secret. 10 discovery requests as of this date, and the production of materials have all been sealed. So we don't know. Maybe there's evidence like this. Maybe there's not. We just don't know.
I am dying to find out what that car has in its information, because that would be so interesting to see. Like, just like you said, it's like the probable cause. Like, is it going to reflect actually what we've thought up to this point? There's no way of knowing.
I know. Do you want a bonus note? I said there'd only be 5, but
give us the bonus.
Okay.
Oh, we get a bonus. We get a bonus.
A lot of podcasters out there say he's guilty. Court TV said, here's why he's guilty. The case against Brian Koberger, and a lot of people out there just say, he's guilty. There's other podcasters out there that, and some of them are good, but they say there's no way he could have done this. He didn't do it. There's no way. Well, as an attorney, I've said it before, I'll say it again, that Mr. Koberger is entitled to a presumption of innocence until otherwise found at the trial. And here's the actual Idaho jury instruction. It is Idaho Model Jury Instruction ICJI-001, and the judge will read this to the jury.
Thank you, Riddler. Appreciate you.
Probably expand upon it in this case, but the model jury.
We'll be getting into the PCA here in a minute, so come back for replay if you have time towards the end of this episode, and you'll see us go through the PCA.
Jury instruction says, under our law and system of justice, every defendant is presumed to be innocent. This means 2 things. First, the state has the burden of proving the defendant guilty. The state has that burden throughout the trial. The defendant is never required to prove his or her innocence, nor does the defendant ever have to produce any evidence at all.
Nope.
Second, the state must prove the alleged crime beyond a reasonable doubt. A reasonable doubt is not a mere possibility or imaginary doubt. It is a doubt based on reason and common sense. It may arise from a careful and impartial consideration of all of the evidence, or from lack of evidence. If after considering all of the evidence, you have a reasonable doubt about the defendant's guilt, you must, see what it says? It says you must, not you may, or you might, you can think about it. If after considering all of the evidence, you have a reasonable doubt about the defendant's guilt, you must find the defendant not guilty. So I just, I've seen a lot about this case. I've heard a lot of people talking. I've read a lot of articles and other material, and I just thought I've never seen anybody actually read that, and I just thought it was important. So that's our bonus today.
And if you think about our comments, even, it sounds like a lot of people have reasonable doubt, which is interesting to the case.
Yes. Okay. So we started a new feature last time or 2 times ago. We're going to read some comments. I have a whole bunch of them here. Why don't you pick a couple and read them, and then I'll read a couple.
Okay. So let me do these first 2. So
yeah.
Okay.
First one from Nanette Foster, 1625. I've read through the comments, and I'm so proud of the people who are paying attention to this case and not falling for the obvious BS. Our rights are at stake here. And Wayne B9463 actually similarly agrees with Nanette, saying this case seems to be a lot deeper than Brian Koberger, which, kind of puts lights on, like we've been mentioning before, a lot of people questioning everything about this case.
Next comment is from World Girl. And she says, if there, remember we did the article, we did the episode on the psychic who accused some professor of doing it all.
Check that out.
Okay, this, check out that episode. This commenter says, if there was even one real psychic in the world, Madeline, and I think she means Kojukari, would have been found. Good point.
Yeah, that's true.
Next comment is from
that poor girl.
Corteria. Sorry, I butchered that, but Corteria. 5744. Hello, I really like you guys. Keep up on the Idaho4. Very interesting case and so sad. Thank you for your great videos. Hopefully, the trial starts sometime in the next fall, at least in the next year. And I hope you're right. Yes.
Yeah, same.
I'll do the next two. So
For
we have
these
J
families.
Train 5615. Dude is guilty AF. Whether or not they can prove it is another story.
Look at
Both
Andrew.
claims. I
He's
mean,
like,
you know, the whole point of our podcast in general
He's
is
so
to like
funny.
to explore all the different aspects of stuff, and ultimately, you know, what the court says, whatever decision the court makes, they make. But it's interesting to see how people are 100% one way or like almost
Right.
100% in the other way.
I get to read the next one. I get to read the next one, but I have to explain first. Sometimes we do these podcasts on the weekends and we do them when we're both in our respective homes. And when you're in your home with your pink microphone, in the background, there's a guitar. So
Yeah.
this person, coincidence theorist 3722 comments, hey, Lainey, next time, could you play us a song?
Maybe someday. I'm not very good. I mean, I can come on and play you guys whatever, whenever. Maybe the next home one will get a little tiny rift. I'm not gonna say I'm an expert, but maybe for the people. And CJ, another podcaster, when he was watching our video on his
Yeah.
live stream, even he was just like, "Oh, look, a guitar in the background." I have
Yeah.
One's acoustic, one's electric. Maybe someday.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to go through a couple of these and say,
Shout out.
let's see. Okay, here we go. This goes to the fact that when they did finally get the car, there was nothing in the car as far as we know.
Oh, right.
So Bernice Rivera, sorry, Bernice 7729 says, you tell me what cleans off blood from a car or anything. Please enlighten me, because nothing will remove blood, or people will get away with murders left and right because people do clean and nothing works.
Yeah,
Interesting.
That's a good question.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
That's a good
That's like the craziest thing about this case is that
Late footprint.
how on earth is there no blood trail? I mean, it's incomprehensible with 4 different people in apparently very gruesome scene.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine. It's very insane that could even be done.
Nothing
You
showed
want
up.
to take the next one, or should I read a couple?
Sure. Let me see here.
Keep them coming, folks.
Oh,
we will,
yeah.
we do read them all. We do read them all. Good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Yeah, they're too
So
awesome.
over here from Physics 4290, we have, it is bizarre the coroner didn't get there until 5 p.m. and didn't do any core temps or room temps. The coroner should be there before police touch anything. Now, Andrew, what do you think about that? Because that is a field that I know nothing, parentheses, very little about.
Well, I've read a lot of true crime, and this person makes a really good point. And the funny thing is that was that we have a whole bunch of them, and that was the one I was going to read, as long as the one that comes right after that point, pointing out that the coroner didn't get there until 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
didn't do core temps or
5:30.
room temps or a lot of other things. The
5:30.
coroner should be there before the police touch anything. Yes. The next one is from Two Hearts,
Maybe
One
they
Song,
show up,
Forever
correct.
8. Agree. When my son was murdered, and we're so sorry to hear that, we really are. Agree. When my son was murdered, the field rep, a coroner, was busy with a case a few towns over. The police had to stop everything with tape up and wait for her to arrive. That kind of goes to something we've talked about before several times in this podcast. I want to bore you, but the proper procedure when there is something like a murder, which, you know, these things happen more often than we want to know. So there is a proper procedure. The first officer that gets there, he throws everyone out, puts up the tape, seals the whole thing off so it can now be processed. And that's what these two comments are telling us about. Do we have time for a couple of more?
Yeah, let's see. This one's a little bit longer one, but I think reflects how a lot of people are
Plus,
feeling.
the coroner said she had to wait for
Pablo
them to be done.
Cicata,
Remember that?
6930. A lot of you guys have numbers in the name.
I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
Of course, the Koberger case is a rabbit hole, and that's why it's so interesting. That said, sometimes in criminal trial, the facts do not matter. What matters is what you can prove in court. I find it a red flag the way the FBI returned to the crime scene house and brought with them state-of-the-art equipment and 20 more FBI agents than the first time around. This video, and I'm a follow of the Koberger case, was informative. The red flag number 1, the hold off for the funeral, is one I hadn't noticed before. So thank you, Pablo C. If we're saying
that was
right.
one.
Yeah.
That was one of our red flags earlier. Was that FBI returned to the scene purportedly to make that LASIK image or whatever it was, a laser image of the interior of that property. A, that had already been done. B, the property was empty, and therefore there was no substantial similarity between the property at that time and then the property full of all the gear from the students that was taken out. So that's a problem, and that's going to be a problem in terms of getting it admitted. And if the defense allows that in, okay, one more. Also, the crime. Oh, this is from DF224. Also, the crime happened just past Halloween. What if he was at a party and touched DNA to a person who touched a sheath? Also, multiple weapons were used. Even Steve G, not confident they have the right guy, and he's on the inside. I don't know what to make of that. I mean, we don't know. Can't say, but
like we talked about in this episode, it's just there's so many different potential things that could have happened. It's really crazy. You can't, I mean, obviously we're so far detached from even being anywhere near Idaho and, you know, that university, but there's just so many ways. There's so many ways that DNA could have been transferred.
Yeah, and we had in the past talked about that, and Steve Gonzalez had been quoted in the Howard Blum article, and Howard Blum had made some other statements, and then Steve Gonzalez said, oh, no, none of that happened. But, you know, it kind of had the ring of truth, so we don't know where all of that stands. But in any event, thank you all for sending us.
Oh, shit. Whoops.
These comments, these are great. We do read them. Even the one that said, you're a slimy lawyer. I've heard it all. I'm a big boy. I've been an attorney for decades. I've gone to court. A lot of my clients love me, but I've heard it before. So if you have something more detailed that you'd like to tell me, that you don't agree with something we've said, that's great. But name calling, whatever.
Yeah, no, we really do appreciate all the comments, even the ones that disagree with us. You know, it's really awesome to see a lot of people going into depth and talking in the comments. And even though we can't reply to every single one, they really do make us smile. And we're really grateful that you guys have been enjoying the content. That being said, don't we want to tell our viewers to do something important on this channel? Which is to
please like and subscribe, and
comment and subscribe.
Be better at internet stuff than I am. I can't even find the banner. I've done something to my screen. I can't believe I've made it all this far. Going in and out of the graphics that we've had, but I can't find the screen. It says like and subscribe.
Yeah. I mean, anybody who's watching this, who's a podcaster themselves or has tried to dabble, it's just like there's so many things technologically that go wrong. So it's really motivating that you guys like the content, because there's 1,000,001 problems that could happen, but at the end of the day, seeing everybody get really into the videos makes it all worth it.
Yeah, thank you very much, and please be sure to like and subscribe, and as I always say, have a great day.
Thank you.
This is a cool ending too.
You have been watching About the Law, a production.
Isn't that a cool ending? Like, man, I'm jealous. I need to take a couple days off and work on my shit, man. I'm like, damn, I need some little switcheroos like that. It's a great episode. Yeah, the coroner's the one that stated she had to wait for LE. That's why she didn't show up until 5:30. Remember? Oh, I had to wait for them anyway. Oh.
Yeah, and
I got to wait for the next press conference to learn more, to tell you. You know? We're going to be going into that in the next episode, the coroner's statements. I think we need to give it a little refresher on those things, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it is true. Usually the coroners are always there right away. That's why it didn't make sense. All right. Now here's the PCA. And let me see, we'll switch to this one. All right. So this is page 3. Here is the link to the PCA.
I'll try not to get up to that. Every time I read the PCA, it's like, oh, but
yeah, it was a great episode. He's a hoot. They both like, she's just a sweetheart, and he's a comedian, man. He is so funny. All right. So this is page 3. All right. And it says in the PCA that Brett Payne then followed Officer Smith upstairs to the 3rd floor. So he's following Officer Smith. The 3rd floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Again, he's behind Officer Smith. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Gonsalves, hereafter Gonsalves' room. I later learned from review of Officer Nunez's body camera, there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. So instead of talking to Officer Nunez, he's going off of Officer Nunez's body cam to put this information in the PCA. Why wouldn't you just talk to the officer?
Well, probably.
And watch the body camera.
Well, probably because he's looking at something that can't be disputed, I guess. I mean, if there's a video of the dog, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be, do they normally talk about that, or do they watch, I don't know what they normally do.
I would think that they would have the best communication possible, which is face-to-face and through your voice.
Yeah,
because that's where you get not only the emotions behind your voice, but the emotions in your body movements that tell the complete story of your words.
Yeah. So there were body cams that Officer Nunez had that he went into Kaylee's room.
No, this was about the dog. They didn't go into
there.
They didn't go into the room yet. They did not go into the room yet. This is about him stating that, I don't know why he put it in here right in the middle, but he puts, I later learned from review of Officer Nunez's body cam, there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. The dog belonged to Gonsalves and her boyfriend. Okay. Now he says, now he's stating Officer Smith. Now this isn't Nunez anymore. Remember, he's following Officer Smith. So Officer Smith then points out a small bathroom on the east side of the 3rd floor. So they're standing at the top of the steps and he's saying, that's a bathroom. Okay, I don't know why you would need to do that because it's so tight right there anyway. It's pretty damn obvious what's a bedroom and what's a bathroom, but whatever. So he's saying that Officer Smith is saying there's the bathroom on the east side of the 3rd floor. This bathroom shared a wall, which it did, with Madison Mogan, her bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the 3rd floor. Now, as he says, as I entered this bedroom, so either he's still following Officer Smith, and Officer Smith goes in the room and then he comes in, or Officer Smith stops before the doorway and Mr. Payne walks in. But he's saying, as I entered the bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room, both Gonsalves and Mogan were deceased with visible wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be. I also later noticed.
This is pain, right? He's saying, I also later noticed.
Yeah, Brett Payne.
Later.
With the whole thing. Right. Also later noticed. Why later?
How later?
Well, he says up here, I later learned.
Yeah, but how much later?
So when you're talking...
He doesn't say how much later.
Well, I'm not really paying attention to that. This is what I'm paying attention to. Okay. When you're reading this PCA, and this is what I want to point out, when you're reading this PCA, these words right here where I followed and we did this and we did this, right? What does it mean? Like you said, later. That means you learned later. You didn't learn
when you
during.
You didn't learn when you were following Officer Smith.
To me, it's written like I didn't see the sheath until I later went back up there. Because when you look at the I later on this part, he's talking about listen, he's not going to the crime scene, following Officer Smith upstairs, and then all of a sudden going, hey, Nunez, can you put that computer over here so I can watch your body cam? No, he later watched the body cam. Right here, when you look at this, and this is it, it doesn't matter how much long later, the fact that it says I later learned. I also later noticed what appeared to be a leather tan sheath. The sheath was later processed, you know,
I think the fact that he later noticed it, I would want to know from the time that he first went in there, and then from the time that he later noticed it, who was in that area. Do you know what I mean? Like he says, I also later noticed. Okay, so from the time that you first went in there to the time that you later noticed, how many people were in that? Who went in there?
Who's to say one of the officers that who's to say Nunez or Smith didn't touch the sheath either?
True. I mean,
because who says they didn't walk over there and go, damn, what is this? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Hey, we need to look for a K-bar, and then puts it back underneath of them. That's why it was half under, half exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's training.
So that's why you would want to know who was in, who had access to that area between the first time and later when he noticed it, because you'd want to know. But you know, this is so poorly written that
yeah, it's horrible. It's sloppy.
Somebody can come on the stand, like Payne can come on the stand and explain it away. Like, oh no, what I meant was, and what I meant was, and it's so vaguely written. It just drives me insane.
Yeah. That he believes, you know, that's what he believed was true. So he's like, yeah, I believe. Yeah, they can easily. This is when the date was put out. You got to understand, they collected the trash the 27th. They got a connection with the DNA profile of Koberger and his dad's DNA profile. Then they wrote this on the 29th, and then they arrested him on the 30th.
And
that's why I said,
on the 28th.
That's why I said they're going to demolish it on the 27th, back then. The 27th, the 28th, the 29th, or the 30th. One of those days as a big FU.
Yeah.
And so why do you think it was poorly written? And he said this city's in Idaho when it's in Washington. And he said this street is a street when it's an avenue. Because he had to hurry up and write this motherfucker. That's why I keep saying that he was zeroed in on since the end of November. My ass. That's why I showed you guys all the press conferences from December to show you guys My fucking ass they were on to his. Yeah, they had his name and his bushy eyebrows on a license, but that was all he was.
Yeah.
That was
That's it.
all he was until the end of December. And then that's when it was like trash. Then all of a sudden, yeah, we got it connected. Then all of a sudden, all right, boom, PCA. Then the next day, arrest.
And it's, why do you think
4 days?
Why do you think they're demolishing the house on the date that they're demolishing it?
Because everything's been a rush from the very beginning when the crime took place to get it out of their fucking existence as quick as possible.
But on the date, December 28th?
No, I'm saying to. Oh, I thought you meant why they want to demo it.
Oh no, I'm just saying the date of the 28th is a significant date.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I told. That's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
said. Yeah, like it's.
So,
That's what I said. Like,
but
I mean,
you called
come on.
it. You called it. So what
Well,
I'm asking is,
Not just that, but look at the significance of the date and what the defense has been asking for the whole time.
yeah,
Look at the significance. It's a big fuck you.
it is, right?
It is.
Like, I'm not thinking of it that way, and I wasn't thinking of it that way, but
Oh, I am.
But are people really that calculate? I mean, are they really?
They're sneaky.
Is this
They're
really
sneaky.
that-
That's why. That's why everybody continues to think that there's going to be all these damn documents, because people don't think that they can be this sneaky, and this is why I've said what I've said. Every fucking court hearing that's been out, it's almost like I see the freaking game that they're playing. And I know, like, a lot of the times throughout all these court hearings, the opinions ain't, the status quo or whatever. But damn, when it starts to, what has happened, or I should say, what hasn't happened that I've been saying is gonna happen in these court hearings. Everything is coming out like it's,
Yeah, so like, but you think about it, and it's like it has to be a group, right? Like, I mean, this is not just something like one person makes this decision. There's a group of people that are making these decisions to demolish.
They're not
the
that
house.
smart.
Huh?
They're not that smart. It's when you do something the same way, and anybody else that's investigated any of these other cases around there, if you do the same thing the same way, you don't have to be that damn smart.
It's crazy.
They're doing this the same exact way.
And I see it coming. I see that the judge is going to give Ann Taylor information, and she's going to say, this isn't complete. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like I said, like I said the day of the last court hearing, you guys might as well just watch what we just watched in a month, because it's going to be the same shit. He's gonna say we gave you everything, and she's gonna say these reports are incomplete. I mean,
or she's gonna say, well, Your Honor, I think we deserve to have more information if you hold back information. And it's just gonna be, oh God, it's just a disaster. You know what? It's really bothering me, and I guess I should just not let it bother me because it's not my case. But I almost feel like just.
Miley's got a good point.
What?
Damn.
What?
It would make sense, Miley, because I brought it up. Because when I was talking about Akron before back home, right? In Akron, shit got crazy. Even in Cleveland and in Akron, shit got crazy with the police, and the fucking FBI came in and had to fucking fix shit.
It's possible.
And you know what, Miley? That makes perfectly good sense, because when you look at all these fucking no reports and all these fucking calls and harassments and all this other shit, I wouldn't be surprised if, oh my God,
maybe that's why they go see Gabriela Vargas.
I wouldn't be surprised if Kaylee fucking was connected with somebody that could slip in a fucking, hey, look, I want you to go check out what's going on in fucking Moscow.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Because she was the fucking sleuther, and she was the one that was always standing up. She was she was reported seeing like missing women and all sorts of stuff.
It's,
We all thought from the beginning maybe there was something that, because of the sleuthing abilities, maybe there was something that she knew, found out about the house. Wouldn't that be some shit?
yeah.
Because Miley brings up a great point. Maybe they were there to investigate MPD themselves. Damn. And that, I know what you mean. I saw Cleveland and Akron police departments doing that shit, and then the FBI had to come in and fix their shit.
Well, the other thing,
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It was corrupt shit.
And the other thing that might lead me to believe that is that when they went to go talk to Gabriela Vargas, I mean, nothing became of that, They went to talk to her. She was talking to Lana afterwards. There was no problem. And it makes me believe that maybe they were talking to her about something else. Like maybe they're investigating something else and she felt free to do that. But, I don't know.
She didn't seem too happy. She didn't seem too happy when they were talking about it on Lana's show.
No. And then,
and it's probably because she admitted that people didn't get it correctly like they're supposed to.
So maybe the FBI went over there to talk to her about that, and because they're investigating. But I don't know. This whole case.
Yeah, what do you do? And if you testified, if you had a deposition and you didn't say anything about that before, probably because it wasn't asked, right? Then yeah, well, how could because I believe that's why they went over there, right? Was because she testified and it didn't go with what she had for a deposition, right? It didn't match
in her declaration.
Yeah, or declaration. That's why they went there. So yeah, that's because she said something she wasn't supposed to. Wow. That's crazy. I never thought about that, but that makes complete sense, because when I compare the shit that was going on back home and then the shit that you're seeing here, it makes absolute fucking sense. When they already had 50, 60 agents there already before the crime took place. Wow. Because come on, we got to get back to the body cam deep dives, but when we're watching, what's up, Kylie? Thank you, ticket number 18. When we're watching those body cam deep dives, damn near every single one is sketchy as fuck. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? No report needed.
And I see something new every time there's something that I didn't notice, and it's like, what?
Washington State Cowboys. It's a good. I never thought about that, Miley. That's a good point, and I see the resemblance firsthand. I definitely see what you mean, and it's definitely a possibility. Never thought about it, but honestly, it makes the most sense. Other than some other other activity that they were investigating with other people, it definitely makes sense. I don't know. But if they're undercover or marshals, why would they be there? The Washington State Cowboys. Just because it was a Washington plate doesn't mean that it wasn't a rental vehicle. So
I remember that guy trying to get into the van. He was like trying so hard to get in there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, he's lucky he didn't jam up that door. I'm telling you, when I was doing my detail shit, because they had vans and vehicles that did that, and I would always laugh my ass off when I would watch a new guy start to work on one of them, and they weren't familiar with the automatic shit, and so it'd be funny because it'd always take the new guys a couple times to figure it out that you just pull the you pull the handle and it does it. And so
Like
because when it does that, then it's like
automated.
it starts jerking. It's almost like when you're trying to learn how to drive a stick shift, and you don't use the clutch very good when you're first learning, and the car starts jerking because you didn't do the clutch right.
That's what the door does because you're pushing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
has
it
the
does the
automatic. Oh my God, that was hilarious. He couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Yeah, he was just nervous, wasn't familiar with how it worked, and he was just nervous trying to get in there real quick. It is just he tried a little squeeze in there like a little mouse squeezing through a crack of a wall. Oh shoot. All right, everybody. I'm not sure. I'm going to be on tomorrow night. I'm not sure if I'm going to be on tomorrow, so I'm not going to put out a notification if I do. I'm just going to go live. I do have to run a bunch of errands tomorrow, but I might end up doing it Saturday. So if I don't do it tomorrow, I'm definitely just going to be end up being live. Last minute notification. So if you see me on around 10 Central, 11 Eastern, or whatever, a little bit after, then I'll be on for a while. But otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow night, and I'll end up doing like a longer show tomorrow night. If I don't get on.
And I'll talk to my friend.
Yeah, let me know, because I'm going to be doing more of those interviews and stuff.
And we could always do it, even if she's not here, we could do it by video,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she could just go to StreamYard too.
Yeah, she could just go to StreamYard too. I'll see if she's up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
It is quite the story.
Yeah. I know. I have all these people I talk to, and I'm like, damn. They tell me like 2 sentences, and I'm like, fuck, you got to save it. We got to do some interviews. So
I'll talk to her. So even if it's not this weekend, we could set it up for some other time.
Yeah, whenever. It's just after the new year, I'm going to be starting to have a lot more interviews on the show, personal stories and things like that too, just to introduce some of that content as well, because I think you can get a lot of really interesting conversations too, and you can learn a lot from different stories and different backgrounds and different
there's
stories
that there's stories that we laugh about because it was so crazy back then in the early 90s. But anyway,
well, maybe you should plan on 4 hours just in case.
We'll save it for later.
Or 3 or something. All right, everybody. Thank you all for hanging out. I appreciate you. Stay warm. Get better. There's a lot of sickness out there. And thank you for your support.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate
you for having me.
Oh, thank you, Yellow.
I'll be missing in action for the weekend. But if we have some time because we have stuff planned, then maybe I'll reach out. But otherwise, we can do an interview even if she's not here or I'm not over there. We can just do it by video.
Yeah, reach out, because I'll be on Saturday night probably. So yeah.
Okay.
Out.
Well, she goes to bed early, so maybe I'll be up Saturday night.
Well, we got the time zone difference, so
yeah.
Just hit me up. We'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.